Part 203. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2025. I know yin and yang. The turtle creature controlled by Jia Yan said calmly to all the surrounding peasant creatures. Jia Yan had already thought of the name Yin Yang. He originally wanted to fly the banner of Yin and Yang Dao, but he also had ulterior motives in using such a name. It is foreseeable that Yin and Yang Dao will develop greatly in the future. So if he still uses his own name, Jia Yan, he feels that it has nothing to do with Yin and Yang Dao. In that case, he might as well occupy the two characters of Yin and Yang first, and later when someone talks about Onmyeto, they will remember him. Master Yin Yang. This name is so grand. It's quite unique. An expert is an expert. Their names are all different. Venerable level creatures are also tall enough. For us, the two characters Yin and Yang are in line with the temperament of a tall person. The farmers were naturally very supportive. Ha ha ha, please don't praise me. My name is very ordinary. By the way, I am old and tired from flying around here. I wonder if I can go to your planet to rest? I'd like to ask for a bowl of water by the way. Drink? Jia Yan asked. Of course it's possible. How can my benefactor drink water? Although we have been in trouble recently, with the help of the old hero, we will definitely be able to get rid of the difficulties, so we can definitely prepare delicious food for you. Master Yin Yang is willing to come to our planet. We are too late to be happy. How can we refuse? You must come and sit at my house. Oh no, Master Yin Yang may be too big to even enter my house. A group of farmers chatted around Jia Yan. They would definitely welcome a venerable level person to sit on their own planet. Jia Yan was supported by them and fell down to the small asteroid with a diameter of 300 to 400 kilometers below. A planet with a diameter of 300 to 400 kilometers is not really big at all. Jia Yan's body is 30 kilometers long. Standing on such a planet is like standing on a larger egg. Even the clone Yin Yang is 200 meters in size. Standing here, you can clearly see that the horizon is curved. But this kind of place is where a large group of local farmers live. Countless people have never been to the big cities of the big planet a few times in their lives. This is the place where they gave birth and raised their children. We don't know how long our ancestors have been here. Anyway, my grandfather said that my grandfather's grandfather was already a farmer here. Last time I went to the archives of a big planet not far away and checked the information. It said that the people of our asteroid moved here to be farmers 5,000 years ago. 5,000 years ago, there were many galaxy level you can't even live for 5,000 years, it's really a long time. Master Yin Yang, what kind of strength do you have? Do you have the strength of a revered person? Come here, this is our local water produced by solar energy synthesis. It is very pure. Master Yin and Yang, come and drink it. Those who followed Jia Yan down to the asteroid surface were a few top farmers who were relatively strong. Those who were at or below the prefecture level were far removed from the outside world. The absoluteness of strength is universal everywhere in the universe. Even the farmers on such a small asteroid have always adhered to this style. But today's Jia Yan is not here to do this kind of specialization, because he has his own purpose, and he needs to win people's hearts. You all come here, I am a little strong man, I don't need to be so cautious. Jia Yan pointed to all the farmers in the distance and asked them to come to him. He deliberately did not say what kind of strong man he was, this was to pave the way for the future. Okay, Yin Yang Sama. Master Yin Yang really treats everyone as equal. What a good man. A group of creatures originally felt that they were not much different from the heaven-level or starry-level beings who surrounded Jia Yan, as compared to the venerable level beings, so they surrounded him without any fear after hearing this. Come. For farmers in the countryside, the feeling of the strong is not too real. They are not as clear as those in big cities or large places, and they clearly know what attitude should be used between the strong and the weak. Of course, there are still some basic fears, but they just don't know how to be polite. They are just country people, not fools who don't understand anything. Oh, there is a beautiful little girl here. What is that in your hand? Jia Yan suddenly saw that among the group of farmers gathered in front of him, there was a little girl who seemed to be as tall as an ordinary earthling and had long rabbit ears. Apart from having bunny ears, this little girl looks very similar to an earthling. She even has a very similar figure and facial features. Master Yin Yang, this is wheat. You can try it. The rabbit creature was holding a small wheat ear that was almost half the size of her own. She lifted it up with difficulty and wanted to give it to Jia Yan. Asshole, Billy, how can you give wheat ears to the respected Yin Yang master? Little Billy, you just said that you have a way, even if you talk nonsense, you actually want to give wheat ears to the respected adults. Is this kind of thing something that a venerable level being can eat? It's such a mess. Where is the Ash family? Why don't they take her back? Both the Ash parents seem to be sick, and little Billy has no one to take care of her. Alas, this child, Master Jia Yan, please forgive her ignorance, she is still young, only in her 20s. Jia Yan looked at the reactions of the farmers around him, and then looked at the little girl with bunny ears. She looked at him expectantly, and he couldn't help but smile. It doesn't matter. I've long heard that wheat ears are like this, but I've never tasted them myself. Now I'm really happy. Jia Yan smiled and used the power of his brainwaves to lift up the ear of wheat. Although the ear of wheat in the little girl's hand was half as big as hers, for a creature 200 meters in size, like real millet grains. Throwing it into the turtle creature's mouth, Jia Yan shook his turtle clone's beard and chewed it hard a few times. Yeah, it's delicious. I haven't eaten such delicious food for a long time. Ha ha ha, little girl, thank you very much. Jia Yan released the power of his brainwaves and secretly explored the 20-year-old bunny-eared girl with yin-yang dao strength, and found that there was quite a lot of energy inside her body, and she was about to break through to earth-level strength. This little girl still has a certain amount of talent. Of course, the talent mentioned above is just ordinary and cannot be compared with a real genius. Jia Yan intended to shock everyone, so he smiled and nodded. Little girl, don't be scared. I will give you wheat ears in return. Before little Billy had time to ask Jia Yan anything, she suddenly felt her body light up and she flew up. Little Billy. Master Yin Yang, little Billy is really unintentional. Sir, little Billy didn't want you to eat vile food. You should spare her once. The farmers were instantly frightened, and everyone began to plead with Jia Yan. Although there are some relatively powerful starry sky level experts on this asteroid, as a whole, they are like a family. Little Billy's family is also a member of this big family. Even the starry sky level expert, they were all shocked, and they immediately begged the old Jia Yan's clone for mercy. Don't worry, I'm not going to do anything to this little girl, just watch. Jia Yan shook his head, and a wave of brainwave power spread out in a mighty manner, preventing a group of peasant creatures from approaching. Then, he did not dare to delay any longer, otherwise everyone would think that he was hostile. Boom! Little Billy, who was floating in the air, screamed and felt that a mighty positive and negative force suddenly hit her body. Puff! At this moment, little Billy's whole body became lighter. Ah! Little Billy's eyes sparkled with an unprecedented light. Okay, haha, this little girl is more talented than I thought. Yes, she still has a bright future. Jia Yan smiled and placed little Billy, who had controlled her brainwave power, on the ground. Little Billy, how are you feeling? Master Yin Yang, what on earth did you do to little Billy? Ah, little Billy, I grew up with your mother 150 years ago. If something happened to you, How would I explain it to your seriously ill mother? Little Billy, how are you feeling? The farmers didn't care that Jia Yan was right next to them. They gathered around little Billy's delicate body and asked questions one by one. But little Billy closed her eyes slightly. A minute later, when everyone was extremely anxious, and some even showed hostility towards Jia Yan, little Billy opened her big bright eyes. Uncles and aunties, Grandpa Yin Yang has helped me gain ground level strength, she exclaimed happily. Ah! What? What does it mean to gain ground level strength? Little Billy was judged to be talented before, but she has never been able to gain access to earth level strength. She said she wanted to go to a big city to buy some method suitable for her cultivation. Billy and her family were all worried about this, but now she actually has access to it. Already. Is the venerable level so powerful? Past. That means that little Billy is actually an earth level powerhouse? As powerful as me? Oh my god, she is only in her 20s. Only then did everyone realize that they had mistakenly blamed the old Jia Yan, who had a peaceful expression on his face. He, little girl Billy, your talent is quite good. You have already reached the critical point of the prefecture level. I am just trying my best. Jia Yan has no intention of taking credit, and the less you take credit, the more people will respect you. Grandpa Yin and Yang, my parents said that if I don't have a suitable method, it will be difficult for me to become a prefecture level person. Don't say it's not your fault. I know what I am doing. Thank you, Grandpa Yin and Yang. Little Billy stood up from the ground and bowed her head to salute the smiling Jia Yan respectfully. Jia Yan did not dodge, because this was what he deserved. Just like what the other party said, if it weren't for Jia Yan's help, this little girl would probably have to fight against this prefecture level breakthrough for half her life. In a big power or a slightly stronger family, this kind of thing might only take half a cup of tea is enough, but for weak farmers, this kind of thing is life-threatening. So he helped the other party solve a big problem and saved at least half a lifetime. This was definitely a great favor, so it was really not an exaggeration to accept the other party's bow. Little Billy is so lucky. Yes, it took me a lot of time to reach the prefecture level. Little Billy's talent is better than ours. Now she has reached the prefectural level in her 20s. I don't know if she will make rapid progress in the future. It's difficult. She is a child of our farmers. Without a good master, it is really impossible for her to achieve a breakthrough in strength. Oh, it's a pity. If she could go to a big force, she might still have a chance to challenge the Venerable One in her life. But children with such talents are actually everywhere in the starry sky. People won't do it for such a peasant child. Put your heart and soul into cultivating. One by one, the farmers were whispering. Billy herself has been testing herself. During this period, Jia Yan took the water spooned by the starry sky level being with the power of his brain waves and took a sip. Not bad, pure water. I haven't drank water for a long time. Haha, I have been busy all my life and have been using energy to live for the rest of my life. Now I have almost forgotten the taste of food and water. Now that I taste it, I feel that this is the original thing. A creature, this is the life I want to live. Jia Yan shook his head and sighed. To be honest, when I say this, I really mean it from my heart. He has been busy in the starry sky, fighting and fighting for so long, and has been out of the category of ordinary creatures. Now he drinks ordinary water and looks for Shiyuan, although it is just water, and because it is synthesized by technology, there are no impurities other than water in it. The smell of water is completely delicious, but it is not really delicious. But this is what a living thing really needs in its body. Strong people can maintain their lives with energy, so Jia Yan did the same, and then gradually forgot the instinct of living things. Drinking like this makes me feel a little emotional. If you want to drink, you can stay here. Although we don't have high energy things here, we can still get water and plant food. That's right, sir, since you helped little Billy, we should also give you a suitable living environment. We will build a house for you tomorrow. Several farmers looked at little Billy happily. She punched the rocks on the ground with one punch after another. They were so happy that they couldn't be happier. A house? If you don't need it, just give it to me. But it must be inconvenient for me to be so big. Come on, let me adapt to the changes in the environment. Jia Yan smiled kindly again, and his body with the turtle shell suddenly shrank. In full view of everyone, his 200-meter-long body shrank little by little, and then became more than 3 meters tall. It was actually a little smaller than those heaven-level beings, and looked like an earth-level being. Same size. Set a small goal first, such as remembering in 1 second, Shikiju mobile version reading website. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2026. Well, how could a strong man actually shrink his body? God, can a venerable level creature do this? Or it should be said that we just thought that Master Yin Yang was 200 meters tall and had the strength of the venerable level, so we considered him to be the venerable level. But now we see that he can become bigger and smaller. Doesn't that mean that he can become larger and smaller? It might be bigger than 200 meters, but what about his strength? Master Yin Yang, I will clean your house right now. Jia Yan showed the ability to shrink in an instant, and all the farmers in the group suddenly stared straight-eyed. Then they started to greet Jia Yan, saying that they were going to help Jia Yan prepare the house. In fact, Jia Yan's 200-meter-sized clone is indeed his maximum size. But as for shrinking, it was because when he originally created such a turtle clone, he felt a little interested in making one that could blend in with weaker creatures. The clone, so he developed an ability that can shrink the clone. But I never expected that something like a random thought would actually become an ability to show off here. Haha, okay, thank you everyone, don't make everyone too busy, just pretend I don't exist. Jia Yan's turtle clone smiled very kindly. It should be. All the farmers were very enthusiastic. You know, it is good for any farmer to have such a strong person living on the planet. The sense of security is completely different. Moreover, they know that a powerful person who is at least a venerable level being, and may even be more than that, will not have too many requirements for them. Even if there are requirements, they, a bunch of peasants, cannot provide them. Therefore, having this powerful person on their planet would only be beneficial to them, and not cause much harm. Master Yin Yang, thank you. Billy jumped up to Jia Yan and saluted Jia Yan with great respect. Haha, good boy, your talent is quite good. If you are free in the future, come to my place and I will see if I can help you. Jia Yan smiled slightly, but said something that shocked and excited everyone around him. Billy, you are stupid, thank me quickly. Master Yin Yang actually wants to teach you something, why are you so stupid? Several farmers saw that Billy was stunned after hearing this, and they quickly shouted to her. Ah, thank you, Master Yin Yang, woo-woo, thank you. My parents know that I have some talent. They took me to many places to seek teachers, but no one was willing to teach me. You are actually willing to teach me, thank you, Master Yin Yang. Billy lowered her head and started crying. It seems that this child has really gone through a lot of hardships before. Just like she said, her talent is considered good, but in the central star field of the Milky Way, it can't be said to be very powerful, it's just a relatively good middle to upper level, which is compared to other forces. You can accept it if you want to, or you can accept it if you don't want to. So people have requests from their families, such as giving some money and so on, but they, farmers, can't get it. Therefore, even if this child has been wasted for a while, it is not too late now. After all, for the creatures in this starry sky, A man in his 20s is like a 5 or 6 year old child on the earth. At this time it's a good time to start learning something. Okay, I'm going to check out my house first. Just come when you have time. Jia Yan waved his hand with a smile and left directly. There was left a place full of envy for Billy. Why don't any of them take a fancy to a venerable person? I'm envious. These people all know that Billy's future will definitely exceed their imagination. The Sean Kong level is the foundation. A being who is not even at the venerable level will not teach a disciple who has no potential like the Sean Kong level. In this asteroid zone, the strongest person is the Starry Sky level. To them, the Starry Sky level is already very powerful, but Billy may surpass the Starry Sky level in the future. To them, that is an existence that they need to look up to. Billy, maybe my uncle will ask you to take care of him in the future. Come on and study hard. Yeah, I will, thank you, uncle. Billy, next time you go ask if Master Yin Yang still needs an apprentice. He can do anything. As you know, my child has nothing to do at home every day. If he is willing to help teach him, that would be great. Okay, I'll ask tomorrow. Billy responded one by one, feeling happy in her heart. Her parents were both ill a few days ago, and the family has been receiving financial aid from the big guys. Although the peasant families on this small planet are all innocent, there are always some women with bad mouths. She started looking at her family members strangely and in a strange way. Today's result is also a kind of recognition for Billy, which makes her feel proud. I would like to thank Master Yin Yang for taking a fancy to me, but I definitely can't relax. Master Yin Yang only said a simple pointer to me, but didn't say anything about accepting me as a disciple. I have to work hard to make Master Yin Yang recognize me more, and even, let him accept me as his disciple. Billy looked solemn. Back home, Billy told her parents about her encounter with Yin Yang and everything that happened today. Then, her parents on the hospital bed were naturally very happy, but because they were sick, they couldn't go to thank Jia Yan in person, and asked Billy to send a message to say thank you. I won't mention what happened here, except that Jia Yan was arranged into a small farmhouse that seemed to have been unoccupied for a long time. This is the residence of the former village chief of our village. He is a high-level being in the starry sky. Unfortunately, a pirate came to our starry sky last time and wanted us to give food. The village chief fought with him. After a fight, although the enemy was driven away, I was seriously injured and died soon after. Do you mind? If you don't mind this house, I will give it to you to live in from now on. In the starry sky, there is no taboo against death. Because there are simply too many lives and deaths in the starry sky, they don't think Jia Yan would care too much about people dying here. They are just worried that Jia Yan won't like the houses where others have lived. This house is nice, let's settle on it. Jia Yan didn't care. Okay, then I will retreat first and let Master Yin Yang have a good rest. The peasant creature who let Jia Yan came respectfully withdrew. Jia Yan was alone in this house, observing the surroundings silently. There was nothing special, except that in a small cabinet, I found a cultivation suicide note left by the so-called village chief. Oh, he turned out to be a good person who thought about the villagers. Unfortunately, you died too early. After Jia Yan read it, he folded the suicide note and prepared to return it to other villagers tomorrow. This is a suicide note for cultivation. Unfortunately, the things on it are of no use to Jia Yan. It is better to hand it over tomorrow and give it to other villagers to gain some favor. After doing this, Jia Yan looked back on his performance today and felt that it was okay. We have won the trust of the villagers. At least today's task is completed. Starting from tomorrow, I will try to use Billy as a breakthrough to spread the Yin and Yang Tao. Jia Yan's purpose was to spread the Yin Yang Tao on such a small planet, and then follow the trend and establish the Yin Yang sect. In this way, his strength will probably have recovered a lot by then, and he will no longer be afraid of any forces coming to obstruct or be hostile. Very good. This first step has been completed perfectly. Of course, if you will fail to deceive a group of farmers, then it is better not to do it. After all, there will be more challenges next. Jia Yan is full of fresh passion. The next day, a bright light appeared in the sky. In fact, there is an artificial sunlight system on this asteroid, which is just like a large light bulb blocking the starry sky. However, this light has the properties of sunlight. After shining on the Earth, the vegetation will be illuminated by the sun. The effect is the same. If it is a creature, it will also have a certain effect. Good morning, I'm going to study with Master Yin Yang, please give me a moment. Billy was happily running down the street early in the morning. When she met people, she told people that she was going to study with Master Yin Yang. Many children gritted their teeth and thought that Billy was too showy. But for children, this is a more correct reaction to show off. You came. When Billy arrived at the house where Jia Yan was, she saw a turtle-like figure, which had shrunk a lot, waiting for Billy outside the house. Master Yin Yang, I'm a little late, I'm sorry. Being late is still late, but I won't blame you on the first day today. But remember, if you are late in the future without a reasonable reason, go back to where you came from. I will not give you any advice. You understand? Yet. Jia Yan looked at her lightly and snorted coldly. I understand, Mr. Jia Yan, I won't dare to do it next time. Billy was immediately speechless. She even wanted to cry when she thought that she might be kicked out by Jia Yan in the future. Very good, then I will teach you the basics. Come on, tell me what kind of training basics you have learned before. Okay. Billy told me one by one what she had learned through practice. It has to be said that within the central galaxy of the Milky Way, there are very unified standards for the general classification of cultivation and the promotion of strength, and there are also very clear cultivation methods and techniques. For Jia Yan, there is a trace of this. Of course, after all, it was too elementary. Jia Yan knew the principle just after hearing it. He immediately sighed that the wind of cultivation here was too strong. Even this small creature that had not had an Earth level before had mastered the cultivation skills. Techniques that no one on Earth can master. The so-called teaching others is also a way to consolidate one's own knowledge. This is what Jia Yan thinks at this time. He reviewed his own understanding of primary cultivation and felt that he did not have such a systematic idea. But after all, he is too elementary, and it is useless to understand Jia Yan. Very good. The skills and knowledge you have mastered are indeed quite advanced. No wonder you became an Earth-level existence as soon as I guided you. This can be regarded as a bit of your good fortune. Jia Yan nodded slightly and then walked to Billy. After switching to a small body, Jia Yan's avatar is one size smaller than Billy. But I still have a lot to point out. In these areas, you are not cultivating correctly. Now listen to what I say and do it. Jia Yan didn't hesitate to reveal his Yin Yang Tao training skills, because Billy didn't even grasp the most basic things. She would only be interested in Yin Yang Tao after being slowly seduced. Yes, but today Aunt Eileen wants me to ask you if you still accept advice from others. Her grandson also has some talent. There's no rush, I'll teach you first and then talk. In this starry sky, there is a small force, which is a professional maintenance force that repairs solar panels. This force is so small that in the entire force, let alone the galaxy level, there is no star level or semi-star level. There is only one venerable level being supporting the force. But such a force is still a bit brave. It seized the farmer's solar panel business in a large starry sky. Another company, which also had a respected power, could not snatch them away and was driven out of this place in despair. A type of business. Last time on that rural planet in the countryside, didn't it say that the solar panels were broken? Why haven't they come to us for repairs? A venerable level creature, riding on a 10-kilometer-long patchwork spaceship, asked his subordinates very strangely. "We don't know either. Last time I heard them say it seemed that it was difficult to raise money. Some young people are going to work in big cities and big planets, and they will do repairs only after making money." After hearing the reports from his subordinates, this venerable creature looked disdainful. "We don't even have money to repair the solar panels. This asteroid is really a bit poor. We probably won't make much money there. Let's do this. If they ask again next time, just tell them that the repair price was quoted last time. As for the price, increase it by 50%. This is the final price. It is considered to give them face. If we to repair it at the last price, we can increase the price halfway, and in the end it will be far more than 50%. Let them think about it carefully, otherwise they will stop repairing it and let that shabby asteroid be left in ruins." "Haha, boss, I actually have another idea about this matter." A subordinate sitting on the side quickly said another explanation with his eyes rolled. "Oh? What do you think? Tell me." Being called boss, that venerable creature looked like he was enjoying himself, and seemed to prefer being called boss. "It's like this. I heard from others before that in a city not far away, there is a rich man who plans to build an asteroid for him to marry and raise a sixth wife. He just needs to drag it from outer space. It's a bit too expensive. He plans to ask someone to see if there is any recent asteroid that anyone is willing to take action on. I think the peasant asteroid is just right. Dear, click in and give a good review. The higher the score, the faster the update. It is said that those who give full marks to the new ones finally find beautiful wives. The mobile site has a new revision and upgrade. Address, data and bookmarks are synchronized with the computer site, no ads. Refreshing reading. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2027. As soon as the subordinate finished speaking, the face of the venerable level creature darkened slightly. "What are you talking about? Do we, a small force, dare to touch this kind of thing?" Yes. The subordinate was shocked, and at the same time he thought that he was indeed too big-hearted. The matter of buying and selling asteroids was far beyond the reach of a small force like them. It would have to be at least half a star or even a star. Only the powerful forces dare to dabble a little bit. But after the venerable creature cursed, he actually started to think for a moment. Go and ask the rich man how much he is willing to offer. That peasant asteroid is in a remote place. If we go there to make a fuss, no one might notice. It's better to try than not to try. Haha, that's right, boss. Even if we don't succeed, it's just an asteroid, and there's no backstage force. They don't dare to do anything to us. Remember, don't let the news leak out, otherwise the security team will definitely find us. Yes. The owner of the solar energy repair business was already a little unable to bear his loneliness, so he reached out to the big business of selling asteroids. This was definitely a huge deal. As long as it was completed, he felt that he would not be able to earn so much by doing solar energy repair business for 100 years. After all, it is an asteroid. On this day, an unknown asteroid with only a code name was floating quietly in space. Very good, this is basically an introduction to combat. Billy, your combat effectiveness has improved to a certain extent recently. What about them? The yin and yang transformed by Jia Yan stood in front of Billy. After giving her instructions, he looked at the group of children who were hiding in the distance but did not dare to come over. Some of these children were about the same age as Billy, some were almost adult-sized, and some looked like they could just walk. The total number of people was no less than 30 or 40. Jia Yan knew that there were only 600 to 700 farmers on this planet, and children probably accounted for 100 or 200 of them, so those present here were already less than half of all the children. And this is just for those who came here today. They came here every day to watch. According to statistics, except for a few, almost all the children on this asteroid came to watch him teach Billy. Each of them envied Billy, but they didn't dare to come over. Some children even thought that peeking would be effective, so they followed suit and practiced the moves from a distance. It's a pity that without Jia Yan's guidance and combat strength, how can he learn anything? Teacher Yin Yang, I'm going to help you cook. Although little Billy is considered by aliens to be the same age as a 5 or 6-year-old child on Earth, Jia Yan only regarded her as a girl in her 20s, so when she arrived at Jia Yan's place, Jia Yan asked she helps with housework. This is a strict requirement, but this little girl is happy with it, especially when there are so many little kids watching from a distance and unable to do what they want. She is simply doing this happily. Jia Yan's incarnation is a turtle creature, an old man standing in the open space outside the house, trying to figure out the opportunity. Teaching a Billy was certainly not his idea. The time should be almost here. I think the news will be released immediately, saying that I am recruiting disciples or something, and the farmers on this planet will also send all their children. But my thoughts are not just about the children, because it takes too long to wait for a child to become a fighting force. Even if I use my yin and yang dao, it will take a long time to do it. What I need is ready-made fighting force. Jia Yan's goal has never been children, but adults. He felt that the fighting power of these farmers was definitely not good, but they were a good use product for him to develop at the beginning. When they developed, they would spread to the outside world. Actually, the combat effectiveness on this asteroid is weak, but that Starry Sky level 1 is a bit interesting. Jia Yan was thinking that the only Starry Sky level being on this asteroid was actually not an ordinary Starry Sky level junior, but a Starry Sky level peak powerhouse, just a little short of a venerable level creature. If under his guidance, it would not necessarily be slow to break through to the venerable level, and if his ability to absorb knowledge is good, and he changes to the fighting method of yin and yang dao, then his combat effectiveness will rise linearly, and when the time comes, he will be the first to a very useful tool for outward expansion. In this way, he is still a local and a strong person taught by him personally, which is very useful to Jia Yan. I just don't know why he has such strength, so much stronger than others. What Jia Yan is most afraid of is that this Starry Sky level being has a lot of thoughts. If he has too many thoughts and thinks too much, then he feels that it is better not to teach him, because thinking too much means he is impure. He chose the farmer's asteroid because it was easy to control and his thoughts were relatively simple. Master Yin Yang. Master Yin Yang, our wheat has come to life, ha ha ha. Thank you so much, Master Yin Yang. Speaking of Cao's arrival, when Jia Yan was thinking about this creature, the creature at the top of the Starry Sky, which was also the strongest person on this small planet, flew to Jia Yan's house screaming with joy. Oh, congratulations to you then. Jia Yan nodded. He naturally knew that this guy was flying this way. At the same time, Jia Yan was also secretly observing this guy's mentality. At least now, it seems that this Starry Sky level existence is no different from other farmers. Master Yin Yang, ha ha ha, sir, thanks to you, we can survive this year. The Starry Sky class didn't land, because he was also dozens of meters tall, and there was no place to stand at his feet when he landed. As he spoke, tears and runny nose came out of his eyes. Over all these years, no one has been so kind to me except my former pirate ship captain. I miss my captain. Several questions arose in Jia Yan's heart. What is a pirate ship captain? You talk to me and think of your captain. He is a bit weird. For such a Starry Sky level, he can't be stupid. Teacher Yin Yang, our Uncle Biha used to work on a pirate ship, but please don't tell anyone. Uncle Biha is still wanted. Little Billy heard the noise and came out of the kitchen. Well, did he originally work on a pirate ship? Then why did he come back to the asteroid? I don't know, it's said that he is too edible, and then you know, us country people, our brains are not very flexible, it's not, we don't have as many frivolous intestines as city people, and then they drove him back. Well. Jia Yan immediately understood that he had high regard for the Sean Kong level. He was indeed as simple as other villagers. As for his overall strength, he must have cultivated it during his time as a pirate. Just being a pirate can help him reach the peak of the starry sky. This Biha's talent may be better than Billy's. Biha, go and stand over there. Jia Yan was overjoyed to see Hunting Heart, and his body expanded and became dozens of meters tall as Biha, and flew to an open space. On this small asteroid, there is actually a lot of open space, because there are only so many farmers living there. After all, it is impossible to grow vegetables everywhere. Good. Seeing Lord Yin Yang calling him, Biha didn't think much, so he followed Jia Yan and flew to the open space and landed. Biha, how far do you think you are from the venerable level? Jia Yan asked. Huh? Venerable level, I reached the starry sky peak a few years ago. I thought about promotion every day, but I couldn't get promoted for so many years. I don't even think about it now. I definitely can't get promoted. Biha changed his previous emotion and now felt a little like crying again. Actually, it's not difficult to advance to the venerable level, it's just that your strength is indeed a bit modeled. The combat training techniques you learned at the beginning should be quick. Jia Yan asked again. You also know this? Yes, my combat skills at that time were said to be the fastest on the pirate ship in the early stages of practice and had almost no potential in the later stages. But I don't blame the captain and the others. I chose them myself. Haha, you are a person who can forgive others. Jia Yan nodded. He began to express satisfaction with Biha's performance and his state of mind. This starry sky level existence does have a peasant mentality. Even if he has been a pirate, it has not made him change his mentality. Okay, Biha, I can give you a set of practice techniques I created to help you rise to the level of a venerable, but... Hearing Jia Yan talk about the problems with the skills and the fact that he could be promoted to the venerable level, even Biha's big-minded eyes turned green at this moment. Although he is a farmer, if he has no ambition at all, there is no way he can reach the peak of the starry sky through cultivation. When Jia Yan appeared before, Biha had thought of asking for advice. But although he was a farmer, he had been in the starry sky for a while. He knew that most of the strong people in the starry sky cherished their broomsticks. Maybe Jia Yan would teach him. Billy, but that's because Billy has just entered the earth level, and her skills at this time are nothing at all. But teaching a starry sky level is different. This will probably require the use of very high-level cultivation techniques. And Biha also heard what Jia Yan was talking about, the practice method he created himself. What this means, Biha really knows very well. A technique that allows others to practice to the level of a venerable, and it is said in such a positive tone, means that Jia Yan is probably not a venerable level, or at least not as simple as an ordinary venerable level, otherwise no venerable person would be able to practice it. Those who dare to tell the secrets of their own creation techniques can make other venerable level creatures quickly enter the venerable level. That is just a dream. Of course, no matter how big his heart is and how much he thinks, the most he can think of is that Jia Yan is a half-star, Ding Tian is a star, and he never dares to think about the galaxy. You must know that in this starry sky, the galaxy level belongs to the heaven and earth, omnipotent immortal first-class existence. Many people do not even know for a lifetime that the galaxy level in the outer domain is more powerful than the galaxy level in this starry sky. In short, It is, I think the galaxy level is the pinnacle of cultivation. But it's not wrong to think so. Even in the central star field of the Milky Way, everyone indeed recognizes that the galaxy class is the top. It's just that the gap between the top and the top is a bit big. Master Yin Yang. I, what do I need to do? Even Biha, who had always looked a little silly, was extremely solemn at this moment. The surrounding wind stopped. There was nothing hidden in the conversation between the two of them. The children in the distance heard it, and a group of adult farmers a few kilometers further also heard it clearly. This Master Yin Yang, can actually teach Master Biha, and even said that he will become a venerable? Oh my God! Master Yin Yang's previous appearance made people feel different. I am not bragging. I have seen a venerable level creature once in a big city. His demeanor and feeling are far different from Mr. Yin Yang's. Yes, I suspect that Mr. Yin Yang may not be at the venerable level. Otherwise, how can he help others become a venerable? He is probably a semi-star level existence. His half-star level? Is it the half-star level that can be a high-level administrator in a distant planet city? My God, I can actually talk to a half-star level being in this life. And we have lived together on the same planet for so long, so happy. Don't interrupt, let's see what Master Yin Yang answers. If he is willing to help Biha, there may be a chance for a venerable level creature to appear on our asteroid. Yes. Venerable. Ha ha ha, in the thousands of years of history of our asteroid, there have been several starry sky level creatures, but there has never been a venerable level creature. If Biha becomes a venerable level creature, this asteroid without a name will definitely stand out among similar asteroids around it, and it may even be given a name. It's so exciting. I don't know how Mr. Yin Yang will answer. I hope it's a good answer, otherwise how could he say something that can teach Biha? Every farmer was extremely excited at this moment, and some even took out their communicators to pass the news to other farmers who could not hear the conversation. In such a small planet, everyone is like a family and everyone knows almost everyone, so it didn't take long for the news to spread throughout the planet. Biha has a chance to become a venerable person. Oh my God, this is big news, we need to go check it out. Let's go too. We can do the farm work later. Damn, we might be witnessing history. Farmers one after another came from all directions like a gust of wind when they heard the news. At this moment, Biha himself didn't care about the other farmers. He stood in front of Jia Yan with great excitement, fearing that the old Mr. Yin and Yang in front of him would take back his previous words. Mr. Yin Yang, just tell me what you want. He couldn't help but keep asking. Jia Yan, on the other hand, looked senile and silent, looking at Biha in front of him. He is still watching. Thank you to everyone who subscribed to Kidian. As I said before, I will write step by step slowly, and everyone will read it calmly. Haven't there been problems with many books recently? Haha, nothing has happened to us giant mosquitoes, so it doesn't matter, just continue to watch slowly. Dear, click in and give a good review. The higher the score, the faster the update. It is said that those who give full marks to the new ones finally find beautiful wives. The mobile site has a new revision and upgrade. Address, data and bookmarks are synchronized with the computer site, no ads. Refreshing reading. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2028. As soon as he said the words, Biha showed that he couldn't wait, and he didn't pretend. Pretending or not, even if the clone can't see it, the real body in the subspace behind the entire planet can be easily seen. Not pretending, it shows that he has such a personality and is quite impulsive. Yes, impulsive, simple, and unpretentious. This kind of existence is exactly what I need to open up the facade. He. Jia Yan finally spoke. He tugged at his beard. Biha, Let me ask you, if it were you, would you be willing to teach others the cultivation techniques that you have worked hard on and studied all your life based on just a few words from others? I'm just getting old, and I really want to find a place to teach young people well and pass on my inheritance, but it doesn't mean that I will swallow it wholeheartedly and be willing to teach to anyone anywhere. So, Biha, I am going to test you now. If you can pass, then I will help you. Tomorrow, I will make an appointment with all the children on this asteroid, and then you will teach them 1 week for introduction to cultivation and combat. I will give you 1 week. If you can make them all make certain progress and satisfy me, I will teach you how to improve your strength. Remember, my method of improvement will not only give you a chance. If you are promoted to the venerable level, it is more likely that you will improve your combat effectiveness. Even if you are promoted to the venerable level, you may be unique and almost invincible at the same level, so you must cherish this opportunity. I, Master Yin Yang, I will work hard. Biha was so excited that he nodded repeatedly. But the farmers who came from afar were not as excited as Biha. They were excited. In another place, Master Yin Yang said that he was going to let Biha teach the children. Although Biha also taught children before, he did not teach very hard or systematically, because in Biha's view, many children are not worth treating. Even for children with good talents like Billy, he did not teach much. It can be seen that Biha does not have high expectations for the children on this planet. But Jia Yan asked him to teach with all his strength. This was a teaching method at any cost. Biha would probably spit out a lot of energy brought back from aliens. Biha has always had his own small treasury, and this time he also planned it. If the solar system on the asteroid cannot be repaired well, then he will use his own small treasury to repair it. But now he has another goal, which is to use these small treasury to provide children with a better cultivation environment and resources. Whether the children will achieve success in the future is his evaluation standard, and he does not dare to underestimate it. Give it a try and the opportunity of life is right in front of you. Children, listen, although I, Biha, have taught you before, I won't say that I didn't teach well at that time, but now I teach with all my strength. I will use my resources and I will use my best. Strict teaching plan. Those who don't want to learn should stand up and say yes first, so I can report it to Master Yin Yang. I think you don't want to learn. Master Yin Yang is tolerant and will never force you to become stronger, so make a decision quickly now. If you don't want to learn, stand up. Not a single child moved. As a creature close to the venerable level, he could have a panoramic view of many movements on the planet. He felt that even on the other side of the planet, there were no children hesitating. All children know that now is an important and critical time. If they give up this opportunity, they may never have the chance to become stronger in the future. The farmers were even more excited. Biha is a starry sky level, and with his guidance, it is already very good. Not to mention that Biha will also provide resources. The improvement in this week cannot be underestimated. What's even more exciting is that they are imagining that Master Yin Yang asked Biha to improve the children's strength. If they improve, wouldn't they be able to study with Master Yin Yang like Billy? Even if you can't ask questions directly, or even get close, you are just like many children today, looking at the head office from a distance, right? Such an improvement would certainly not be small. Haha, there's no need to rush. I can't eat hot tofu in a hurry, so I'll wait for your results in a week. Billy, how's the meal? Jia Yan laughed, not as excited as the rest of the people on the planet. Okay. Teacher Yin Yang, you can come in for dinner. Billy was in the house and responded to Jia Yan. Her voice is also a bit weird. On the one hand, she hopes that others will become stronger, but on the other hand, she feels that if Jia Yan teaches Biha, then she will definitely receive much less attention. If there are other children, then she will definitely it doesn't get the maximum amount of attention. So she felt a little bit of a crisis in her heart, and the only way was to practice harder. 1 week is a very slow time, but it is also very fast. Jia Yan has already gone to the asteroid to plan this month. Whether the layout of this half-month is fruitful and natural depends on today. Early in the morning, a group of children, accompanied by adults and followed by Habi's huge figure, rushed to the house where Jia Yan lived. Billy set out from home early in the morning and arrived at the door of Jia Yan's house earlier than them. Teacher Yin Yang is still practicing, let's wait. Billy stood at the door, saw the men and women arriving in large numbers, and said to them. All the creatures in the group, adults and children, nodded in agreement. For the strong, all creatures in the interstellar world have great respect. However, they did not wait long, because with so many creatures arriving, if there was any strong person who didn't know about it, no one would believe it. So Jia Yan must have known about it, and he didn't have any ideas to keep everyone waiting. He would allocate some of his main energy to repair the body and put it on the clone. The clone stood up, then pushed open the door of the house and walked out. Good morning, Yin Yang Sama. Teacher Yin Yang, we are ready. In 1 week, many children seemed to be completely transformed, and their growth rate was gratifying. As for Habi himself, he was a lot more exhausted. The eyes of the majestic starry sky-level creature actually had bloodshot eyes, which showed how hard he had worked for this 1 week agreement. Jia Yan looked at the people around him and nodded. Habi, you ask them to come forward one by one and tell them their original strength, how much they have improved, and what they have improved. They must know this in their hearts. They must speak faster, otherwise so many people will finish talking. It's almost dark. Okay, I have taught them how to say it, Master Yin Yang, they will not hide anything. Do you think you can hide it from me? Just tell me. Jia Yan smiled, this guy, it is unnecessary to do anything. If there is any child hiding something, his strength can easily tell whether the other party is lying. The first child stepped forward. My name is Bisang. My previous strength was at the earth level. A week later, I am now at the earth level and I know a fighting technique. After saying that, the child punched out and a big hole appeared in the ground. He was not complacent, but hugged Jia Yan and left. The second one also came up. My name is Bede. I had no strength before, but now I am at the elementary level of the earth level. I have learned how to punch in the air. Having just reached the prefecture level strength, his combat power is actually very weak. The child just made a fist and kick gesture and then stopped to change to the next one. The third, the fourth, the fifth. Hello, Teacher Yin Yang, I am Piccolo number 122, and I am also the last person. My current strength is high level earth level. A week ago, my strength was mid-level earth level. In 1 week, I learned he has two moves, one is a ferocious steel knife, and the other is a volley slash. After a long time, the last child came on stage, which was probably the strongest finale arranged by Biha. He used a knife and slashed through the air with incomparable ferocity. For the volleying slash, he jumped up high, and then jumped down in the sky. A beam of light from the sword was emitted, and a deep mark of the sword's light was drawn on the ground, 2 fingers wide and 20 meters long. Good. Jia Yan nodded, looking very satisfied with the knife. Piccolo looked at Biha and saw that the other party also looked excited. Then he stepped back with a smile and entered the crowd. Unexpectedly, when Biha wanted to ask if he had passed, Jia Yan stood up from his seat. Biha, aren't you surprised that I'm going to let you test something? I'll tell you now. Billy, come out. Yes. Billy was startled, probably not knowing that Jia Yan would call her, but she still stood up without any hesitation. The yin and yang transformed by Jia Yan pointed at Billy and then at the children in front of him. Biha, let me tell you the content of your test now. Didn't you teach 122 children? It's very good now. You let them do not have to suppress their strength, whether they are at the earth level or at the intermediate or high level. With Billy, if you fight alone, whoever can win will count you as passing the test. In addition, those with heaven level strength will be suppressed to the peak of earth level. You can use any moves. As long as you can beat Billy alone, I will consider you to have passed. But according to the level, you can only choose 5 people to challenge. You choose the person yourself, think about it and start. What Jia Yan said shocked not only the children present, but also Biha, other farmers, and even Billy herself. Ah, I fight so many people. Billy almost didn't know where to put her hands and feet. You know, even if she is a 5 or 6-year-old child in the starry sky, she has just entered the earth level recently, and now, although she has reached the mid-level earth level in just half a month, her actual combat moves are the 3 consecutive boxing she had learned from Biha before, but Jia Yan helped her slightly change the 3 consecutive boxing. When attacking, for some reason, 2 opposite forces were running, making the 3-hit combo turns into a move with extremely terrifying attack power. But apart from these 3 moves, I don't know anything else, so I'm going to the battlefield now. And to so many people. Teacher Yin Yang, I. Billy was so frightened that she wanted to cry. Don't worry, the teacher said you can win, you can win. Do you think the teacher will lie to you? But it's easier to say that at the earth level, if you can win at the heaven level, you can win. I won't blame you if you can't win. You. Jia Yan comforted her with a smile. I believe in Yin Yang teacher. After hearing what Jia Yan said, Billy immediately restrained her fear, walked to the center of the open space, and waited. Our first pie pizza. On the opposite side, Bisang sent all the children to be the first to give a speech. It can be seen that this arrangement was also because Bisang was quite strong, a high-level earth-level person, and his punch was also famous. Sister Billy, I am 20 years older than you. I shouldn't bully your child, but this is Master Biha's request, so don't blame me. Bisang walked out, the glove was in his hand, and every 2 punches struck out with fire. I don't blame Brother Bisan, come on. Billy frowned, remembering many of the principles Jia Yan said. He said that when fighting, when you see the enemy, you can't relax, and you must be ready to attack or resist the enemy's attack at any time and at any time. In fact, although Jia Yan only taught her 3 moves, he has been teaching her small details in combat. For a child as young as Billy, she has a good memory and obeys Jia Yan's words, so it is best to teach her. Really want to fight my brother? Alas! When Bisang heard this, he let out a long sigh and punched out. Although this move was a bit suspicious of a sneak attack, it was not that serious because his attack had already been made. If he could not stop it because of carelessness, no one would say anything. Billy was already prepared. Then she discovered that the high-level earth-level attacks were not as powerful as she had imagined. Because although this Bisang's attack speed is faster than hers, his whole body is filled with the flaw theory mentioned by teacher Yin Yang. That's right, it's the flaw theory. Jia Yan didn't teach anything too profound, he just pointed out certain moves and shortcomings that the enemy would make when attacking. He didn't say why these were flaws, because he said too much children cannot remember. Teacher Yin Yang said that if the enemy is a tall animal and the right shoulder is high when charging, they are usually ready to attack from the left. And if they have heavy feet, they may follow up with a kick. Billy immediately remembered Jia Yan's teachings. These are all consistent with Bisan's performance at this moment. Billy turned and moved to the right. As if agreed, Bisan's gravity punch came up from the left, but Billy dodged it. Then Billy jumped back again. The little rabbit's jumping ability was extremely terrifying. In one jump, it jumped 5 meters as fast as lightning. At this time, a foot kicked forward from an angle, almost kicking the little rabbit. Billy. Ah! Is little Billy so powerful? How did she know to hide? She is obviously better than San in terms of speed, strength, and even flexibility. Dear, click in and give a good review. The higher the score, the faster the update. It is said that those who give full marks to the new ones finally find beautiful wives. The mobile site has a new revision and upgrade address, data and bookmarks are synchronized with the computer site, no ads. Refreshing reading. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2029. Could this be the power of Master Yin Yang, a child who has never fought before, so quickly went from having no strength at all to being taught to the middle level of the earth level, and even his fighting strength has become unpredictable. Is this the teaching power of a super strong person? No, many strong people are strong themselves, but they are poor at teaching others. Master Yin Yang is obviously not one of them. As he spoke, the situation on the battlefield changed again. There was a hint of envy in Bison's eyes. Sister Billy, you have indeed learned a lot from Master Yin Yang. It's a pity that my brother is not so blessed. But you have to take the next punch well. This is the strongest punch I know. Bring it on. Billy dodged several moves, her confidence doubled, and she was not afraid at all. When she spoke, the fist almost hit her. Bisang used the powerful punch he demonstrated to Jia Yan. It's not scary at all. Watch me break you with 3 consecutive punches modified by the teacher. 1 punch. 2 punches. 3 punches. Bang. Billy actually used a very basic 3-move combo with fists to break Bisang's moves in an instant, and then hit him. Bisang was almost crippled by these 3 punches. Fortunately, Jia Yan was by his side. When the 3rd punch was about to fall on him, Jia Yan protected him, only letting him fall down without any harm. Just like that, Bison was still shocked. You know, he is a high-level Earth-level person. He was promoted more than 10 years earlier than Billy, a girl who had just been promoted to the Earth level. He didn't expect to be hit like this. Billy, your mastery of these 3 moves is pretty good, but you are a little uncomfortable with the contraction and release of these 3 moves. After the game is over, don't practice anything else these days. Just practice the contraction and release of these 3 moves. Yes, Master Yin Yang. Billy felt a little aggrieved because she felt that she had won no matter what, so why didn't Master Yin Yang praise her? But then she thought about it, and she knew why, because Teacher Yin Yang knew fundamentally that Billy should win. If she couldn't win, Teacher Yin Yang would probably not teach her in the future. Thinking of this, Billy shuddered. She didn't dare to imagine the days without the guidance of Teacher Yin Yang. In these days, not only was her strength improving rapidly, her fellow farmers and elders on the entire asteroid looked at her with disgust. It was different. Without the guidance of Teacher Yin Yang, she would definitely not have such days in the future. Billy believes that she must work harder in the future, otherwise she will really live up to such good luck. Okay, next one. Yin Yang, also known as Jia Yan, said calmly without any emotion. The people around him looked at Jia Yan differently. In half a month, a little girl was promoted from not even prefectural level to mid-level prefecture level. These are nothing, because with more radical methods, one can be promoted in half a month. The strength of the weak, after all, the earth level is in the entire sequence of the strong, even the most basic level, and even some races are born with heaven-level existences, and will not even experience the earth level. Some powerful forces can rewarding a pill will instantly elevate subordinates or disciples to the heaven level without having to go through the earth level. But the improvement is not too exaggerated, but in half a month, Jia Yan actually made little Billy go from a child who only learned 3 punches to a person with fighting power, or a small level cross-level combat power. This is unimaginable. Because the strength is easy to improve, the difficulty is the combat power. Otherwise, In this starry sky, why are there so many low-level strong men who are considered weak? Many farmers, let alone those of the same level who specialize in fighting with the outside world, are as weak as themselves. Fighters of all levels will lose completely in battle. The reason is that they are simply practicing to strengthen their bodies. The other fighters are real fighters. One has learned combat skills, and the other has not learned much, or has only learned superficial combat skills. How can a human being defeat a professional? Even if the level is higher, the fists are heavier, and the speed is faster, as long as the strength does not completely ignore the skills, there will be no chance of victory. It is conceivable that the farmers were shocked when Billy became a good fighter in just a few days of transformation. Everyone looked at Jia Yan with even more intense gazes. The second one is Baitan. Come on. At this moment, Biha over there has no regard for his dignity as the strongest man on the planet. The more Jia Yan shows his extraordinariness, the more he desires the guidance of this strong man. So he directly sent a junior Tian-level student. The heaven-level children on this asteroid are a bit reluctant to call them children. Even if they are limited by the age of aliens, they are nearly 100 years old. They can be called adults, but young people are also considered children, so even if they are 100 years old, even at the age of 18, he can play in battles. Yes, teacher Beer. Baitan walked out with a solemn expression, and when he passed by Jia Yan didn't even make a move. He just glanced at this person, and Baitan felt a huge pressure all over his body. With a buzz, this Baitan unexpectedly discovered that his strength had become the pinnacle of the earth level. If Baitan hadn't known that his strength was actually at the elementary level of heaven, he would have thought that he had retreated to strength at this time. Don't worry, your strength will be restored after the competition is over. It's Master Yin Yang. That Baitan was almost an adult. He did not dare to have any dissatisfaction with Jia Yan. He quickly clasped his fists and walked towards the center of the battlefield. At this moment, Biha looked at Jia Yan with an extra layer of desire. Because he couldn't understand Jia Yan's operation just now. Definitely not a venerable, because of the venerable's strength, he understood. He had met many venerables before. The captain of the pirate ship at that time was even a primary star-level being. Master Yin Yang must be more than just a venerable person, he is at least a half-star powerhouse, and he is the kind of half-star powerhouse who can give guidance to others. After all, he has lived long enough. As for why I think Master Yin Yang has lived long enough, you can tell by looking at his appearance. He looks so old, so he must have lived a long time. The battle begins. On the side, there was a heaven-level farmer who acted as the referee and called for the start of the game in front of everyone present. Beat. Baitan learned from Bison's previous mistake and picked up his rake from the beginning and threw it at Billy. Most of the agricultural tools used by farmers are rakes, and this kind of thing has become their most convenient combat weapon. The teacher told me that when my opponent has a weapon, I should use my strengths and avoid weaknesses. If he has a long weapon, I should avoid it. But a long weapon has a weakness, that is, it is difficult to stop in time. At least the strength is not too different. That's how it was at that time. Billy thought of Jia Yan's teachings again. This child is good, because when she is young, she will remember what adults say. Most likely, she remembered everything Jia Yan said. So this is the reason why Jia Yan likes Billy more and believes that she will have a certain development in the future. By chance, she will also have a chance to be promoted to a star. Besides, Billy's talent is very clear, and it's all about jumping, like a little rabbit. So during the 15 days, Jia Yan, in addition to talking to her some truth and letting her improve her strength, just let her follow his training requirements when she has nothing to do. Jumping around. Now her jumping ability was working. When the opponent's rake attack came, she jumped up high to avoid the opponent's attack, and then hit her back with a straight rabbit punch. Puff. Although his strength was limited, his body was still that of a heaven-level being. After being hit on the shoulder by Rabbit Fist, Baitan just staggered, his face looked grim, but he did not have the slightest possibility of admitting defeat. Come again. Baitan sweeps back with the rake. This is a trick often used when farming is busy. With one sweep, the plants behind can be swept away, which saves a lot of time and effort. The same is true when used in attacks. Sweeping it back will give a sudden and unexpected feeling, which will cause many people who don't know this move to suffer. Billy was familiar with this move, so when Baitan swept back, she jumped back. Bounce around, little Billy, is that all you've ever learned? Brother Baitan, please give it a try. Billy smiled, unaffected by his provocation. Because at this moment, Billy remembered again that Jia Yan said that others always provoke you when you lose, so once they provoke you, you have to be happy. This is because your opponent feels that you are more difficult, or even feels that they cannot beat you. It's time. When Billy thought of this, she calmed down and was not affected by the provocation. Ding! The rake hit the empty space, but this time it was swung a little faster, and it almost hit Billy's tail. You almost hit me. Will it hurt if you get hit? Billy was also startled, feeling a little panicked in her heart. She secretly glanced at Jia Yan and felt the presence of the old turtle. He didn't seem to care about winning or losing at all. He just looked at everything in front of her kindly. Billy was a little worried. If she was accidentally injured and lost, Yin and Yang would, "Sir, will you teach yourself again?" Billy, come on. There were little kids around her who were about the same age, and they all yelled. Some of these little brats are younger than Billy. They look like teenagers. To aliens, they are just babies. They are not eligible to join the training because they are too young. So they all cheered for Billy, who was about the same age as them. They are all cheering for me. I can't lose. Billy suddenly perked up. This little girl still has a fighting spirit. The yin and yang transformed by Jia Yan just looked at the scene in front of him silently, and then nodded involuntarily. No matter what inspired her, the result still required her to have the will to fight, which showed that she could still be cultivated. If she is afraid of getting hurt and doesn't dare to fight, then although Jia Yan will still teach her in the future, he will no longer expect anything from her. After calming down her mentality, Billy became more aggressive. While jumping again and almost being injured, but not being hurt, she began to use Jia Yan's only tool to help her resolve her worries. 3 punches. 1 punch. 2 punches. 3 punches. A heaven-level being is a heaven-level being. Even if its strength is suppressed, it still has the eyesight and movement ability of a heaven-level being. Billy's 3 punches this time did not have any effect. When she punched the last one, the person bounced away from the reaction force and sat down directly on the ground. Looking at the heaven-level brother in front of him, he almost cried. She felt like she couldn't win. Billy. But at this moment, Billy suddenly heard an extremely weak voice. She looked up and looked ecstatic. Because among this group, a pair of male and female, who looked like middle-aged rabbit creatures, stood in the crowd, cheering for themselves. These are Billy's sick parents. Ah, I want to win. Billy yelled again, jumping and throwing another 3 punches. 1 punch. The first punch hit the rake and bounced back so hard that Billy's own fist hurt. 2 punches. The punch struck the lower half of the rake, causing the entire rake to tilt a bit. Billy's heart moved. Yes, this time it was because of the deviation that it hit the lower half of the rake. But because of the deviation, the rake's defense was also crooked, and its center of gravity was crooked, which caused problems with the opponent's defense. So what if I hit it more crookedly? 3 punches. Boom. This time, Billy's fist hit Baitan's stomach. Originally, she hit the chest according to the 3 punches in a row, but she hit the stomach deliberately. Puff. Baitan felt his chest bulge and spurt out a trace of blood. Okay, the winner has been decided. Biha looked ugly, looked at Jia Yan aside, and then sighed. Jia Yan did not help this time, because he felt that the heaven level could withstand a full blow from an earth level mid-level and would not be seriously injured. This is also true. After Baitan walked out, he felt his body lightened, his heaven level strength restored, and then most of the injuries on his stomach were healed immediately. Thank you, Master Yin Yang. Baitan also thanked Jia Yan. Next game, it's the prefecture level's turn. Who will the prefecture level send? Biz, come on. Well. Biz, who was singled out by Biha, was a young man at the top of the earth, but he had no confidence at all. Just now, a little girl like Billy, whom they treated as a brat, couldn't even defeat Baitan, who was more powerful than him. He really had no self-confidence. Go ahead and fight. Billy doesn't have that much energy. You might be able to do it. Bihar comforted him. Biz had no choice but to end. The results are also obvious. After gaining practical experience in several previous fights, Billy's 3 consecutive punches have been completely transformed. Using the theoretical knowledge that Jia Yan usually taught, it became unlike 3 consecutive punches. After a few punches, she used the rabbit punch to defeat Biz. It's to beat him off the stage. It's heaven level again. This time, there's an intermediate heaven level person. Baye, you go up. Okay, Sister Billy, according to seniority, you should actually call me uncle, but we are all children, so call me brother. I will let you know what it feels like to lose. Uncle? Lose. Haha, Uncle Baye, your pun is too cold. Dear, click in and give a good review. The higher the score, the faster the update. It is said that those who give full marks to the new ones finally find beautiful wives. The mobile site has a new revision and upgrade address, data and bookmarks are synchronized with the computer site, no ads. Refreshing reading. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2030. Have you started? Game start. Dong dong dong. The battle between Baye and Billy now feels like a competition of the same level. Billy, who had several battle experiences, combined with Jia Yan's theoretical knowledge, actually turned out to be somewhat decent and fought very energetically. And this mid-level sky level Baye was suppressed to the peak of the earth level strength. But still has a bit of a heaven level demeanor, playing at a heaven level. Billy just used her earth level mid-level combat power and her physical strength from fighting for a long time to match him. 3 punches in a row. Are these 3 punches coming again? Sister Billy, these 3 punches are useless to me. Knowing that Billy only has the power of 3 punches, Baye has become accustomed to it. When she attacks, Baye will fight back immediately after the 3 punches. For the first time, Billy was stabbed by Baye, who was holding a knife. There was a flash of blood, and Billy was so painful that she almost cried. She looked back at her parents, who were worried and wanted to stop the game. Looking at Master Yin Yang on the other side, she saw the encouragement from Master Yin Yang. In a battle between strong men, injuries are unavoidable. You have to fight even if it doesn't kill you. And if you beat your opponent to the verge of death, you can't be careless. Throughout the ages, countless strong men have been died due to such carelessness. I have not been injured by death. I still have fighting ability. In real battles in the future, injuries are inevitable. Master Yin Yang is not worried at all, which shows that he believes that such injuries are not injuries at all. Billy gritted her teeth and punched again with her injured arm. The 3 consecutive punches are all done with the right fist. Now that my right fist is injured, can't I use the left fist? I am originally left-handed. Teacher Yin Yang said last time that if you are left-handed, you can also try to develop the left one. The way to fight. Billy was in the battle again and thought of Jia Yan's words. In an instant, she took the fist of the injured right hand with her left hand. The second punch, bang. The second punch, which was originally thought to be ineffective, actually hit Bai, who was about to block the second punch with his right hand. Why, your left hand? Bai staggered, but Bai Li remembered what Jia Yan said. When you get an advantage, don't think too much, expand the advantage and continue attacking. Third punch. This time Billy used his right fist, while Billy blocked his left. Puff. Finally, Bai couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood, and he flew out of the field. This, Billy wins again. Finally, because Billy performed well on the spot and listened to a lot of Jia Yan's words, she won consecutive victories. Oh! This little girl really has some practical talent. Even Jia Yan stood aside and was a little surprised. For any strong person, no one knows what his actual combat ability is before he has actual combat, let alone his fighting talent. Just like Jia Yan, he has also experienced the first, second, and even 10th game. After the battle, I was sure that I had a talent for actual combat. But little Billy, the alien girl who Jia Yan didn't have much expectations for her actual combat talent before the war, actually has some talent in actual combat. Originally, Jia Yan didn't think Billy could win many games, because he didn't care whether he won or lost this time. If Billy could win, he would find an excuse to accept Biha. If Billy lost, then according to the rules, he would also have to accept Biha. But Jia Yan discovered that Billy was actually quite talented, which could be considered an unexpected surprise. Win 10 games. To be honest, I don't think you can persist. Let's see how many games you can persist. Jia Yan smiled slightly, especially after seeing the last child, the one with nearly starry sky strength. He knew that Billy couldn't win against her. However, he is not completely sure. In this kind of matter, he always does some unexpected actions of overstepping the enemy's ranks to kill the enemy, especially for the weak and powerful. It is not a myth that it is impossible to overstep the ranks to kill the enemy, because the weak sometimes, many times the right or wrong decision will affect the outcome of the entire battle. 3 punches in a row. In fact, Billy is destined to have many surprises for Jia Yan. She only used one move and 3 consecutive punches, but Jia Yan taught her to change the moves, and then improved her energy control feeling. Especially when using this fist, there is a concept similar to positive and negative. In the fist attack, after teaching her the idea, Billy actually applied inferences and gradually used many changes in actual combat. Although these changes are not reincarnated and have not evolved from the original 3 punches, they can no longer be called 3 punches, because these 3 punches have become after Billy discovered that her left and right hands can be used interchangeably. 6 consecutive punches. The 3-punch special attack is a fighting routine that doubles instantly. Moreover, the 3-punch attack is no longer rigid and only attacks 3 places, but attacks from all angles. Doubling it will be a killer move like 6-punch. Billy suddenly only relies on these 6 punches will lead to consecutive victories. Master Yin Yang, Billy, is this, the 3 punches I taught her? Not bad, but I helped her modify it a little bit. It's another version of the 3 punches. Jia Yan smiled slightly. After Biha heard Jia Yan's words, he was stunned, because he was the one who taught the 3 consecutive boxing skills. Naturally, he knew that the basic linear boxing technique had been modified by countless people, and no one had heard of it. Being able to transform into such a state, and judging from the appearance, Master Yin Yang also added many profound fighting concepts to it. I don't know how he taught Billy these in just half a month. The eighth one. Oh my god, Billy actually defeated 8 children who were higher level than her, and 3 of them were heaven level. But that should be the end of it. The remaining 2 are all heaven level and above. Piccolo is so powerful that he can cut the air with a single sword. Billy will definitely lose. That's right, she's just a little girl. She deserves to be proud of having achieved this. Yes, who would have thought that a little girl in her 20s could be transformed in just 15 days? Master Yin Yang is truly a god. Billy's parents were standing in the crowd. When they heard everyone marveling at their daughter's strength, they couldn't help but puff up their chests. After all, their daughter has such talent and luck without being raised by herself, and being valued by Master Yin Yang shows that it is all due to her own efforts. They are really very proud of this daughter, and at the same time, they also feel a little guilty. Because they can't give much help, and they have to drag their daughter down. The eighth one, Billy, be careful. The next 2 are high-level heaven-level ones. The first one is Bai Long. Bai Long is a creature that looks like a small dragon. His mouth breathes fire, which is hot and very smoky. Bai Long was much bigger than Billy. When he walked into the venue, his body of more than 10 meters made the venue much smaller. Among the races in the starry sky, there are also many who are not very strong, but are still very big. Bai Long is such a race. Buzz. As Bai Long walked, he felt a sudden weight on his body. He hugged the affable Yin Yang. Sister Billy, I didn't expect that I would have to fight you, but since it is Master Biha's order, I will not disobey it, so if you want to admit defeat, you can do so now. Byron said to Billy. No matter how you look at it, Billy is still a rabbit animal that is only the size of a normal girl in her 20s on Earth. She is less than 1.6 meters tall. She is so small and exquisite that she is not on the same level as her opponent who is 10 meters long. I don't. Brother Bai Long, please stop talking. I won't give up. Just use whatever strength you have. Billy shook her head and denied Bai Long's request. Huh, if you don't eat the toast, you'll have to drink it as a penalty. Sister Billy, watch out, my weapon is, my tail. Byron suddenly shook his tail and fanned it towards Billy. Ah! Billy didn't feel any movement, but she was swept by a strong wind, and then everyone was thrown high into the air. Billy. On the sidelines, Billy's parents were heartbroken. But people with higher strength are not worried about Billy. Because Bai Long had previously demonstrated Jia Yan's fighting prowess, Billy remembered that his main weapon was his tail. So when the tail swept over at an invisible speed, Billy remembered Jia Yan's words again. If you are not sure whether you will be hit, jump back in the direction of the enemy's attack. This way, even if you are hit, the damage will be much smaller. That's what Billy did. This little girl even memorized everything I said casually. What's even more valuable is that she can actually use these theories in actual combat. This is a seedling with practical talent. Jia Yan was on the sidelines, thinking slightly. He was thinking about his own business, and there were changes on the battlefield. Bai Long swept away one tail after another. Billy's first tail was blown around in the sky by the strong wind, and was even scratched a little by the tail, and then a trace of blood appeared on the rabbit's face. But the second tail, the third tail, and the fourth tail didn't allow her to stop and cry, so they just swept up. Does this Bai Long have any actual combat experience? Off the field, Yin Yang suddenly asked Biha beside him. Yes. 2 years ago, he went to the city with me to buy seeds. On the way, I met a group of gangsters who came to ask for money. I fought with them. Bai Long killed 2 of them at that time. Biha is very honest and knows everything about Jia Yan. So that's it? I just said it? These moves and the feeling of fighting are not like those of someone who has no actual combat experience. Jia Yan nodded. The 2 of them were talking here, and the battle on the field was like a storm, one after another. Even the last player who was watching the battle, Piccolo, who was using a single sword, was solemn at this moment. He regarded Byron as his only competitor on this asteroid. The two of them had been competing with each other from the beginning. Compared with strength, the combat effectiveness of both sides has always been about the same. At this time, seeing Bylong's astonishing strength, Piccolo felt that it was a bit difficult. When Billy received more than a dozen tail swipes but had almost no backhand power, she suddenly shouted loudly and began to use the doubled version of the 3 consecutive punches. First punch from the right. First punch from the left. The second punch from the right, the third punch from the right. The second punch from the left, the third punch from the left. This 3-punch combo multiplied by 2 was a double 3-punch combo, sometimes with a left punch and now with a right punch. Before the punch, Billy didn't know what kind of punch she would throw. Li's fist. Oh. Yin Yang, also known as Jia Yan, found that Billy's progress in these few battles could be said to be extremely rapid, and her grasp of the rhythm of the battle could also be said to be miraculous. Jia Yan himself is a person who has made rapid progress in actual combat. He found that Billy also had certain such actual combat abilities. Of course, the current strength is too weak. With such strength, it is hard to say what will happen in the future and whether Jia Yan can always maintain the feeling of Jia Yan. After all, Jia Yan has been away from low-level battles for too long. Looking at these children fighting, almost falling asleep. Otherwise, I can teach her a trick temporarily. Jia Yan thought about it and thought that he could test Billy's ability to learn and react on the spot. If he could really learn it and put it to use on the spot, he would really have the opportunity to teach her in the future. With this thought in mind, he did so. Suddenly, after 6 punches, Billy found that she couldn't break through Bylong's defense at all. She fell to the ground in discomfort, and was swept away by a tail. An old voice sounded directly in Billy's mind. Billy, I'm going to teach you a new skill now. Because you have a foundation in boxing, I will teach you a move, left and right punches. God's mercy, Jia Yan's basic ability is really a bit bad. Moreover, Jia Yan didn't really think of this move long ago, but after watching Billy fight so many times, he briefly thought about her advantages and disadvantages, and then combined it with a boxing move that he came up with at random. Ah! Master Yin Yang, you can actually speak in my mind. Billy was shocked. Don't talk, I will teach you now. Don't worry, my brainwave power is extremely fast and can drag you into thinking for a long time. You learn from me. If you learn how to beat this dragon, I will reward you later. Teach you the complete punching routine of left and right explosive punches. Billy didn't dare to speak at the moment. Jia Yan began his own teaching. Find bookstore. Everything around me, just as Jia Yan said, slowed down very slowly. Even Nabiha didn't notice Jia Yan's behavior, his eyes seemed to be in slow motion, and he could even notice that because Bylong was flicking his tail, Billy was stunned and indifferent, and he smiled. After all, as long as Bylong wins, then Biha can learn from Jia Yan and even have the opportunity to be promoted to the venerable level. Billy didn't know what the principle was, but she could only learn it hard. You have already mastered some of the key points of the left and right explosive punches, that is, the attack paths of the left fist and the right fist. You have practiced it yourself, and the other is the explosive punch. But I have also told you these principles. The power in the fist has positive and negative differences. Dear, click in and give a good review. The higher the score, the faster the update. It is said that those who give full marks to the new ones finally find beautiful wives. The mobile site has a new revision and upgrade address, data and bookmarks are synchronized with the computer site, no ads. Refreshing reading. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2031. There is a huge difference in power between the punches you punched before and the power of the ordinary 3 punches. This is because your fists use a little bit of the principle of difference between positive and negative. But now, you have to deepen this principle of difference. 1 punch is positive, 1 punch is negative, 2 punches are thrown out, 1 positive and 1 negative. When it intersects with the enemy, it will produce an explosion effect of positive and negative energy. Can you understand? I explained the basic principles to you clearly in the past. Jia Yan kept talking slowly and calmly, and the situation seemed to be frozen. Although everyone was still moving slightly, it seemed to have slowed down hundreds of times. Billy was shocked by the current situation and quickly heard what Jia Yan said. Then she asked some questions in confusion, and Jia Yan answered them one by one. When she understood what positive and negative power was and how to throw that punch, Jia Yan said lightly, "Very good, you understand. But whether you can do it depends on yourself. I have unlocked the power. You must understand it instantly and use the left and right explosive punches, otherwise you will be swept by Bai Long's tail. This you will definitely be defeated in one moment." Untie. Buzz. The whole picture returned to normal. Just as Billy got used to the slight discomfort in her head, she felt a tail as big as a room in front of her face. The tail was almost close to her body. A single blast would cause her to be seriously injured, and she would definitely lose. Left, 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 and right explosive punches. Billy was startled, then quickly remembered Jia Yan's teaching just now, and shouted out the name of this trick with a firm face. With 1 fist on the left and 1 on the right, he aimed at the tail of this huge house, and hit it hard. Afterwards, a loud sound of earth shattering occurred in the square. The wind and dust are like strong winds of dozens of levels. If it weren't for the creatures in the Interstellar, all of them have a certain degree of strength. Otherwise, if it were the Earthlings present, there would be countless casualties. 2 tiny fists produced an astonishing effect. Nabi Long screamed, and a wound appeared on his tail. You must know that his physical defense is at the peak of the heaven level. Although his strength has been suppressed and dropped to around the beginning of the heaven level, it is still within the realm of the heaven level. But now, a mid-level Earth-level creature actually broke his defense with 1 punch. This is amazing. This, Billy, how could your attack break my defense? I don't believe it. Bai Long took 3 steps back, his entire tail hanging behind him, unable to lift it up. Bai Long's attack weapon is mainly on his tail. Now even the tail is injured, which shows that his combat strength has plummeted. However, he found that not only was he shocked, but the person involved, Billy, was also extremely shocked. She looked at her hands. The rabbit's eyes were blood red, as if she was looking at something extraordinary. Can I really hurt Bai Long? How could this punch be so powerful? What is this? She wanted to look back at Teacher Yin Yang, but she remembered what Teacher Yin Yang said, don't look around when fighting, and focus on your opponent. She quickly stopped her thoughts and focused only on Bai Long in front of her. But there is no need to continue fighting. Bai Long, please retreat. Your main combat weapons have been lost, so you have lost. There is no need to fight hard. Biha didn't know what his emotions were at this moment. He said something to Bai Long, and then quietly glanced at Yin Yang beside him. This old creature, he felt more and more, was an extremely mysterious existence. In just 15 days, he taught a little genius. Billy's move to kill enemies across levels is really in the realm of genius. Although it is still far behind the real geniuses in the Milky Way Central Star region, you must know that she is only 20 years old. She is still a child, and if she is given more combat experience and more guidance, perhaps the title of genius will really fall on her. But everyone knows that Billy is not a real genius. If she were, she would have been included in the door of some force. The only explanation is the old man beside him, who can almost turn decay into something magical, Yin Yang. Master Yin Yang, what is your strength? It can be seen that he is definitely not an ordinary half-star. Could it be that he is really a stellar being? Thinking of this, Biha almost swallowed his saliva. There is absolutely a difference between a star who is good at coaching and a star who only knows how to fight. Such a star-level creature, guiding a star-level creature, is just like playing. Biha felt a little trembling in his heart. At the same time, he did not want the last contestant, Bik, to lose, but he also wanted to witness this miraculous moment. But just as he was about to announce the end of Bik, Yin Yang standing next to him shook his head and said in a very vicissitudes of tone, "If we don't fight in the next game, count me as the loser. Billy, don't hold on. It's on fire." Jia Yan said in a sighing tone that Billy, who was standing on the field waiting for the game, staggered and fell to the ground. Well. Biha was slightly startled. Everyone present was stunned. Then they realized that this was completely normal. Billy is just a middle-level Earth-level child, and she has just been promoted to the middle-level Earth level. How can she continue to fight? After fighting 9 times in a row and winning 9 times in a row, she had already exhausted all her strength, especially the extremely powerful punch just now. She didn't know what kind of punch it was, and it probably consumed the last of her brainwave power. She lost the strength to stand firm. But unfortunately, this child is stubborn, and she will not fall down unless Master Yin Yang tells her this. Bik was originally gearing up, but he didn't expect that Sister Billy fell down before he even got off the stage. After he thought about it, he shook his head again, blaming himself for thinking too much. How could he expect to fight with a middle-level Earth-level child? Master Yin Yang, is this enough? Do you want us to wait for Billy to regain her strength and fight again? Biha asked Jia Yan cautiously. This kind of result, if he wins over HA, is a bit too shameless, just like a will battle with a little girl. No, this is the fighting condition I proposed. Since Billy can't fight, then losing is a loss. Biha, from today on, you should also come and learn from me. Yes. Thank you, Master Yin Yang, no, Teacher Yin Yang. Biha could barely hold back his trembling heart and quickly cried out in ecstasy. Jia Yan ignored him and walked to Billy, who was lying on the ground. He began to feel really interested in such a little bunny girl. The problem is not her talent. To be honest, her talent is not good enough to win 9 games in a row. But luckily, she won all 9 games. So what's the problem? Jia Yan reviewed the previous battles and finally came to a realization. This child has always remembered her own words, and she has filtered every key point into her mind. Just like just now, when she was teaching her how to punch left and right, she did not look around. This shows that she listened to what she said before. The requirement not to look around during battle. If we talk about talent, it is indeed not very good, but her ability to accept information and obey is beyond the reach of many people. Could it be that this is also a kind of talent? Jia Yan knows that the so-called talent is simply something without a theorem. Some people are gifted in cultivation. Such beings are generally easy to find and then focus on cultivating them. But there are some talents, such as Jia Yan's rapid improvement during battles. After every battle, his strength will be greatly improved. This is a hidden talent. But Billy's talent is more hidden, so hidden that if she doesn't meet a good mentor, her whole life will pass like this. That means he is very obedient and can often remember what his instructor said during battles without any distractions. This was the reason that allowed her to persevere, to use every move accurately during the battle, and to win 9 games in a row. Billy, come on, relax, the teacher will give you some brainwave power. Jia Yan said lightly, then squatted down and touched his shoulder. An extremely huge brainwave power followed Billy's shoulders and instantly entered her body. Well. Billy opened her eyes and sat up. Suddenly, she found that she actually had the strength to stand up, and it seemed that all her strength had been restored. "Thank you, Teacher Yin Yang." Billy knew this was the teacher's trick and quickly thanked Jia Yan. Biha, who was celebrating in the distance, saw Jia Yan's skill and was even more surprised by Jia Yan's ability, because he knew the star class, and it seemed that many star classes did not have this kind of method. This shows that Jia Yan must be a capable person with unique skills. "Okay, you go over and play with them. Go home and have a good rest today, and continue to come to class tomorrow. You behave well." Jia Yan rarely praised Billy. Yes. The children were happy when they heard that there was something to play with. They jumped up and down to find their parents and the group of children to play together. As for Jia Yan, he was watching the fight between the farmers and the children with a faint smile, while his eyes were carelessly scanning the sky. "Are there some little miscellaneous fish here? Should I kill them if they don't show up, or should I let them come out and cause trouble?" Jia Yan had long known that a small wave of people with malicious intentions appeared in the sky. They bypassed the asteroid's outdated defense and detection systems and secretly monitored the farmers below. The starry sky tens of thousands of kilometers away. "Boss, that group of farmers seems to be holding some kind of folk show. A group of children are playing, and there is a little girl who is particularly powerful." The observer used an observation mirror that was more advanced than the asteroid and saw the scene of children fighting on the asteroid. However, in his eyes, this holiday fight was quite interesting, especially the little girl who was able to defeat 9 enemies with 1. The last move was a bit shocking even to him, and he wanted to learn it. "Haha, what's so interesting about the fight on this rural asteroid? It's just a group of children playing, right? You can show me the distribution of weapons on the planet and its strength." "Yes." After hearing the boss's scolding, the observer immediately stopped looking so much and instead kept looking at the artillery system on the asteroid. Although asteroids are peasant asteroids in the countryside and generally do not have any enemies, there are still some weapon systems that should be there, but they are just in disrepair, and some of them are not known to be useful. The biggest problem is that the weapon systems and other things on the asteroid are completely placed on the ground. Therefore, if there are any powerful spaceships coming from the sky, their distribution can be known at a glance. Of course, this kind of asteroid is not prepared to guard against powerful forces. It is just to intimidate and delay time to call the police, so that the more powerful police system in this starry sky can help. You see, that asteroid is indeed weak. The entire artillery system on the asteroid only has 12 main guns. Each of these 12 is not as powerful as the main gun of our battleship. There are another 25. A small piece of artillery fire is even worse, and it may not even be able to open the defense of our battleship. Ha ha ha, as expected, no one has made any plans for such a poorly guarded asteroid. It must be because there are too few buyers for the asteroid. We are lucky and have received such a mission. If we can take it down, this business has really made me rich. That's right, other asteroid selling forces have spent countless money and manpower traveling all the way to the outer starry sky to drag asteroids. To drag them back, they have to spend countless energy, and some even lose money. We can only grab one so close. If we modify it well in the future, no one will be able to recognize it, and the money we will earn will increase our power. The boss of the Solar Power Repair Force and his subordinates were looking at the distant asteroid inside the not-so-excellent battleship, and they were already dreaming about the life after getting the asteroid. However, they have not thought carefully about why so many large and medium-sized asteroid trafficking forces have not thought of this kind of selling law. In fact, those forces have rules. If those who engage in this business continue to snatch asteroids from all over the world, the entire market will be panicked and no one will dare to buy asteroids. Wouldn't everyone have nothing to eat? So if there is any such behavior, these forces and the police system will join forces to arrest those opportunistic forces or individuals. It's just that at this time, the forces cultivating solar energy still don't know about this. Moreover, even if they knew, they might still choose to take risks. After all, if they were not discovered, it would be their victory. Be prepared, and when the right opportunity comes, we will attack. Also, if there are any strong people on this planet, please quickly investigate them for me. Yes. This day is a very happy day for everyone on the nameless asteroid. Not only did a little girl who was suspected of being a genius appear inside the asteroid, but there may be another strong person coming to the asteroid in the future. Dear, click in and give a good review. The higher the score, the faster the update. It is said that those who give full marks to the new ones finally find beautiful wives. The mobile site has a new revision and upgrade address, data and bookmarks are synchronized with the computer site, no ads. Refreshing reading. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2032. The bigger reason was that Biha, a starry sky-level being who had a huge gap with all the farmers in terms of strength, actually found a teacher. That was the great being who guided Billy and caused her to undergo a miraculous change in half a month. Although no one knows his strength, everyone understands that since such a creature who is good at coaching dares to boast about Haikau and Coach Biha, it shows that he has this kind of confidence. If Bihar is actually promoted from the starry sky level to the venerable level, then this asteroid will really be much more stable. For example, in the previous solar energy incident, the venerable class would have more confidence to negotiate with the caravan. Moreover, even if the results are the same, the venerable class can already come and go freely in space and at a high speed, helping to repair the solar system. It feels similar to Master Yin Yang's attack. Even if it is slower, it will definitely be of great help. You don't have to worry about similar disasters in the future. Of course, the biggest benefit is the improvement of combat effectiveness. There are a few similar peasant asteroids around that are a little bit friction, so I don't dare to speak loudly with them anymore. This is all good for the inhabitants of the entire asteroid. So they are happy. You can come tomorrow morning. In addition, you can help me find some farmers who have strength and talent on this planet, because there may be attacks on your asteroid recently. If possible, I don't like to take action. You can best deal with it yourself. After everything was done, Jia Yan originally asked Biha to go back, but in the end he added the above sentence. Huh? Someone is taking action against us? May I ask Yin Yang, teacher, who are those people and where are they? After Biha heard what Jia Yan said, he was suddenly shocked. He would not doubt what Jia Yan said, because it would not be good for Jia Yan. I don't know who they are. I only know that they are peeping from space. They are vaguely hostile. Jia Yan's explanation for Biha was very simple, because he really didn't know who the other party was, let alone their purpose. Of course, this is because the opponent is not very powerful. If Jia Yan wants to solve it, it will be too easy, so he doesn't want to know what the opponent's purpose is. But he knew that this was his chance. If everything goes well, he can use this excuse to recruit a group of disciples, or named disciples of his teachings, in an instant. Although he was the one who paid for it in the beginning, Jia Yan also achieved his goal. The first step is to start with such a venerable person and his subordinates. Haha, this feels like a bit of a test for me. Jia Yan's previous opponents were relatively powerful from the beginning, and those who were not powerful were ignored by him. This is also the principle that many ordinary strong people have been acting on. It is also the reason why the strong look down on the weak in the entire galaxy, and even regard the weak as ants. But when Jia Yan slowed down his work and began to implement some of his big plans bit by bit, he discovered that the weak are also human and living creatures. They also have ups and downs. Life. And he will start from such a weak person, not using pure violence, nor using force to bulldoze, but using his own strategies, ideas, and thoughts to advance his thoughts and actions little by little. Perhaps this is what a real high-level powerhouse would do. If he uses force to do everything, he will probably never reach the domain lord or galaxy high level. After Jia Yan has done so much, he feels that his soul has been sublimated. Even though he was injured, he always felt that this was the feeling of a strong man who would improve his strength. My injury has not been repaired at all recently because the energy is gone. The high-end energy I finally bought last time was used up on the way here. My body is recovering purely by its own strength. But it doesn't matter. Even if I find some small interstellar matter from the surroundings to repair myself, it will be enough for my current consumption. Jia Yan knew that his strength was slowly being restored, and if he didn't have a shot in the arm, he would probably never be able to repair it. But after turning into yin and yang, he strangely found that he was no longer in a hurry. Anyway, in this star field, there is not much danger. It is better to take your time and recover from the injury slowly, but you can create a yin-yang sect that belongs to Yu Dachan who only collects his cultivation insights and ideas, and even it is possible that it will be his real legacy that will remain in history for the rest of his life. When you think about it, it feels quite meaningful. Don't be anxious, don't be impatient. Inside the subspace, the seriously injured giant mosquito seemed to be sleeping, focusing only on the old turtle-like clone. Teacher, these are my parents. They want to give you some souvenirs. Suddenly, 3 shadows came from behind. It turned out to be Billy, bringing her parents. Her parents both look like rabbits, especially her mother, who is almost the exact same mold as Billy. They looked at Yin Yang sitting on a big rock, facing the moonlight, looking like a real decrepit old man, and an indescribable feeling came to their hearts. For the strong people in the Interstellar, even if there are some who are sitting still, there are very few people who are not practicing but are quiet. Moreover, when Yin Yang was sitting still, there was a unique energy lingering around his body. It was not that he was practicing, but that the energy was involuntarily surrounding his body. Thank you both. I hope that the daughter I teach on your behalf can satisfy you. Slowly, Jia Yan turned his back to them and said calmly. The voice of an old man made people suspect that he was going to that world at any time. No, no, it is my, daughter's honor to be taught by Master Yin Yang. Billy's father looked like he had been ill for a long time, his body was thin, and he kept coughing when he hurriedly spoke. Jia Yan knew that both of them were so thin without even looking at them. Buzz. Suddenly, a wave of brainwave power enveloped the two couples. This is. Both of them were extremely surprised. Billy was also shocked, but she was quite familiar with Jia Yan's brainwave power, and she immediately felt that it was her teacher's brainwave power. Teacher Yin Yang, you. Buzz buzz. Waves of brainwave power trembled, disrupting the entire space. It didn't take long for both couples to land on the ground again. If you two are sick, Billy will not be able to practice well with me. Now that you are both well, she will feel relieved. Jia Yan still didn't look back. This. Billy's father looked at his fist and saw a burst of energy fluctuations emerging from his fist. I'm ready. Billy's mother was also extremely excited and touched her arms and bunny cheeks. Ah, Dad, Mom, are you really okay? Okay, really good. The family of 3 suddenly hugged each other. Then within a few seconds, they all bowed to Jia Yan, who was sitting on the top of a stone like a majestic mountain under the artificial moonlight with his back to them, and bowed to the end. The whole family of 3 burst into tears. The disease has tortured their family for many years. The parents were infected with the disease and the mother was infected. Except for the daughter and other villagers, both of them could hardly go to the fields. It's not that I haven't seen a doctor, but many hospitals in big cities can't solve it, and they even say that it takes an extremely powerful person to do it. But today, the children's teacher, Master Yin Yang, treated them lightly. This is simply a gift of reinvention. Thank you, Master Yin Yang. Thank you teacher, woo woo woo. Jia Yan turned his back to the family and didn't say any polite words, but silently accepted their thanks. But deep down he was a little surprised. Because he knew how serious this disease was, and even felt that this disease would not be as simple as a simple disease. At least, it's a shot from the beginning of a galaxy, and even more, far more than that. What on earth is this? Jia Yan's heart became solemn as he recalled the handling process just now. When the family of three saw Jia Yan, who seemed to be sleeping again, Billy pulled her parents. The teacher occasionally thinks like this. Let's not disturb him. Just remember that he helped us. We can't repay the teacher. He is too powerful and is not on the same level as our entire asteroid. Billy followed Jia Yan for half a month, and her understanding of Jia Yan could be said to be the most on the entire asteroid. But the more she got to know him, the more unfathomable and mysterious she felt. At first, she thought that Jia Yan was just a sage at best. But after gradually getting to know each other, this rabbit girl, who had not even met the Lord a few times, gradually discovered that the difference between the teacher and the Lord was very big. Today's medical treatment made her even more determined. You must know that when my parents were treating this disease, they even went to a semi-star strong doctor in the big city. But when the strong doctor saw that it was this disease, he shook his head and said that there was no way to save him. At least he would treat it no matter how much money he had. Not good. A disease that even a half-star powerhouse couldn't cure was cured by my teacher by treating it lightly. Well, let's go, Billy. You must learn from your teacher well in the future. Dad knows that your teacher is absolutely amazing. It's not just the little girl Billy, her parents are adults and they know better that Jia Yan may be a super strong person. The artificial moonlight gradually shifted to where it shined, but Jia Yan's clone, Yin Yang, kept looking up at the starry sky above his head. Just like this, the family cautiously left the house at some point. As for their family, their parents, who had been ill for many years, were cured by Jia Yan's simple means, and the news was quickly passed on again. The farmers were all shocked. Because they all know how much this family has paid because of their illness. The couple even went to the big city several times to save themselves. The family property was spent, but no one could save it. But that Master Yin Yang cured them simply? It's like a magical rejuvenation. Everyone knows that the stronger a strong person is, the greater his ability to control his body. Jia Yan can cure diseases that even strong doctors in big cities cannot cure, which shows that he is probably stronger than those doctors. At the very least, his medical skills will be better than those doctors. Master Yin Yang, it is definitely not half-star level, it must be at least a star. Haha, I knew it. Beer confirmed this. Before dawn the next day, the strongest man on the asteroid went alone under the big rock where Jia Yan was sitting. When he saw Jia Yan sitting cross-legged on the big stone, not doing any practice, Biha, who was much stronger than Billy's family, was shocked and gradually fell into a daze. In the eyes of other creatures with weaker strength, Jia Yan's clone just sat there indifferently, but in the eyes of Biha, an almost venerable level creature, this adult was stunned, and there was a kind of power of the universe around his body. Decomposing, falling apart. Looking at everything around him, there will be many insights. Jia Yan is indeed in a daze, but the strong are the strong. Even if he is in a daze, he will instinctively release a lot of insights and strength. What has been hidden will be released a little bit. None of this was intentional on his part, and he didn't even have to consume a trace of energy, but it could make the people next to him realize a little bit of his strength. A strong person with weaknesses can gain a lot of insights and improve his own strength by watching his daze. Buzz buzz. When Jia Yan was in a daze and felt a sense of energy break through beside him, he frowned slightly and looked back, but shook his head and smiled bitterly. It turned out that Biha, who was looking at him in a daze, had a precursor to a breakthrough in his venerable level strength just because he was in a daze. Don't just try to make a breakthrough casually. The failure rate for such a breakthrough is too high. Jia Yan's eyes trembled, and a wave of brain power spread out. Puff. Biha's mind was completely stunned, and the feeling of breakthrough was shaken away by the power of this brain wave. Teacher, why did you? Biha was a little distressed because this was something he had been pursuing for many years but never came. After missing such a breakthrough opportunity, he didn't know how many more years he would have to wait for the next breakthrough opportunity. Now is not the time. Since you have reached this point, in 2 days, I will help you for 2 days. The certainty will be more than 90%. Jia Yan said something that surprised him. Biha opened his mouth, feeling that when Jia Yan said breakthrough, he meant something like eating and drinking water. He was pursuing that illusory breakthrough feeling just now. He had been pursuing it for many years and never once. He actually said that 2 days was 2 days? What if you don't come? Don't worry, you will know why in 2 days. Okay, Billy is here too. This morning, you will go with Billy first and listen to me explain the basics of a new cultivation method. Yin Yang stood up from the boulder slowly, as if with difficulty, no different from a real old creature. Dear, click in and give a good review. The higher the score, the faster the update. It is said that those who give full marks to the new ones finally find beautiful wives. The mobile site has a new revision and upgrade address, data and bookmarks are synchronized with the computer site, no ads. Refreshing reading. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2033. It seemed difficult to stand up, but Jia Long fell from the stone to the ground. When he landed, Billy ran over from nowhere and quickly helped Jia Yan. Biha was a little depressed, feeling that he had suffered a disadvantage because he had grown so big. If he were like Billy and the same size as Jia Yan's current transformation, he would be able to be courteous. Teacher, what new things are you going to learn today? Billy used a child's unique tone and asked about the content of today's study. Jia Yan smiled slightly. The soil that has been plowed for so long can now be planted with seeds. This kind of cultivation method is called Yin-Yang Dao. Onmyoji. The two temporary registered disciples, one big and one small, looked at each other, and then they both felt a little surprised. The name of Yin-Yang Dao sounds very grand, and it doesn't feel like an ordinary non-creative method, it feels like some kind of great avenue. But this kind of thing, just think about it. For the powerful people in the universe, there are only a few roads, and it is different from the Tao understood by the people on Earth. The Tao understood by the powerful people in the universe can reach the galaxy level. Can all be called Tao. So to a certain extent, Jia Yan is not wrong at all when he says that his Yin-Yang Dao is a kind of Tao, because he himself has practiced Yin-Yang Dao and has reached the current galaxy level. What I call the Yin and Yang Tao is my own original creation. As for the mystery of this Yin and Yang Tao, it all lies in the two words Yin and Yang. To put it bluntly, it lies in positive and anti-dot. Jia Yan sat down and, in the image of a tortoise, memorized the Yin and Yang Tao to the two named disciples. Jia Yan was very familiar with this process. He himself felt a little surprised by his familiarity. But thinking back, this is not the first time he has taught on Mosquito. Even the number of people who learn his Yin and Yang Tao may be definitely not small. In the Orion arm, It can be said that almost all the people are learning Yin and Yang Tao, but they lack the personal teachings of Jia Yan, the original creator. Even leaving aside the group of beginners who were not taught by Jia Yan personally, Jia Yan looked back on his career and taught many people the Yin and Yang Tao step by step. No wonder they are so familiar. Jia Yan sighed in his heart. I don't know how my registered disciples are doing now. Have any of them died in the pursuit of becoming powerful? Maybe people will have random thoughts as they get older. Jia Yan found that considering the age of the earth, he was already 70 or 80 years old, so he would naturally think about some messy things at this time. Of course, Jia Yan was thinking about his own things, but the clone was still tirelessly talking about his explanation of Yin and Yang Dao, and even mixed it with countless profound and incomparable truths. The two named disciples listened carefully at first, then showed confused expressions from time to time. Finally, Billy was completely confused, while Biha sometimes understood and sometimes showed the same expression as Billy. He was extremely shocked. He originally thought that he could at least understand a lot of this teacher's class, but he didn't expect that there were so many that he couldn't understand. Moreover, Jia Yan explained in simple terms. Although Biha did not prove whether many of the principles were correct, but looking at it now, it is absolutely correct. At the same time, he sat upright because he felt that the teacher he had finally found was definitely not that simple. Even until now, he has not said for sure whether he is a half-star or a star. When others asked, he did not answer. Although in the bottom of his heart, Biha would never believe that in addition to the semi-star level and the star level, this yin-yang master would have any other identity, but a certain person did not dare to think about it, but he thought about it for a while. The thought appeared in my heart more than once. That is the galaxy. Of course, it will definitely not be galaxy level. What he is thinking is that at least teacher yin-yang, his knowledge, analysis, and teaching ability may be comparable to galaxy level. But he didn't know if this kind of thing was correct. Maybe the galaxy class was more powerful? But at the very least, he had never heard of any cultivation techniques that the galaxy level could create, and they were so eloquent. In short, one word is learning. He felt that he must learn well, otherwise he would lose money. Do you understand? It's okay if you don't understand. Just keep it in your heart. If you learn certain things in the future, you will know what I mean by these words. Jia Yan felt that even if the two of them didn't understand, some of his words would only be said once. If they remembered, they would chew on them slowly in the future. If they didn't remember, it could only be said that their talents were not good enough. He would only tell many things once because he did not have that much time to teach the same person again. And he would have helped these two people to cultivate to a certain level, otherwise there would be no demonstration significance. Okay, Biha, didn't you say you were ready to be promoted? But I advise you not to do that. I will give you a week to replace all your energy with positive and negative forces. After a week, you can try to rush Guan. You don't have much time in this week, it's up to you whether you can grasp it or not. Yes, teacher, I will try my best. Billy, your strength is relatively low, and I asked you to enter the direction of Yin and Yang Dao from the beginning, so there is no possibility of you resisting. I will give you a preliminary oral training later, in a week. I want to see if you have succeeded in Yin Yang Dao, and are you confident? I have. Jia Yan gave orders to both of them. It's better for Billy, because she has spent half a month laying the foundation for Yin and Yang Tao. Moreover, she has followed Jia Yan since she started, so her transformation should not be slow. But Biha is a bit troublesome. Although Jia Yan also knows that Biha seems to be more like an ordinary farmer and naive, but his talent and understanding ability should not be that bad, otherwise he would not be a farmer. Cultivated to this level of strength. But if you want to convert all his strength in 1 week, and then 1 week later, Jia Yan will help him make a breakthrough at the venerable level, this requires a lot of effort and talent. Although he only has the strength of the starry sky level, but it is also close to the venerable. Putting the Orion arm is at the level of a small army leader, so it is really not that easy to switch strengths casually. But Jia Yan only gave him a week. It wasn't that Jia Yan didn't know his difficulties, but that Jia Yan was observing the warships above the starry sky. Among the dilapidated battleships, there are still venerables. If Jia Yan personally takes action against this venerable, it will definitely be easy. Even the other party will die without knowing how to die, but Jia Yan can't. Doing this would not serve his purpose at all. So he wanted Biha to take action. According to Jia Yan's observation, those warships were also hesitant and still observing the surrounding starry sky. This process would take at least a week. In a week, if Biha can quickly understand the basics of his yin and yang dao and convert his own energy, Jia Yan can let him take action. Isn't it just right for the venerable to be the venerable? Of course, there are too many variables in the process, but Jia Yan is a galaxy being, and with his absolute strength, he can even artificially make events develop in the direction he wants. For example, if the people in these battleships fell ill with a certain disease, a month would pass in the blink of an eye, and they would not know why it happened. Of course, that was an option that was too late. Jia Yan also wanted to push it and try to see how talented ordinary people in the central star field of the Milky Way were. To be honest, Jia Yan was a little scared to teach a little Billy. Even a little girl born in an ordinary peasant family, who can be regarded as a star-level existence with some talent, can complete the transformation in 1 week and break through. What about all the records for the Orion arm? I have to work hard. I have to seize this rare opportunity. Master Yin Yang is definitely a great person. I want to seize the opportunity that will come after a few decades. If I can't seize it, even if I can be promoted to the venerable level, I will stop here in the future. With the help of teacher Yin Yang, I may still be able to do it in the future. A glimpse of semi-star status. In a huge house on the asteroid, Biha turned on the function of soundproofing and isolating most of the energy in the room, and continued to work hard inside. He believed in Jia Yan, so he asked him to disperse his brainwave power, and he dispersed it. If Jia Yan lied to him, it might take him half a year or even a year to restore the energy. Moreover, he also cultivated new energy while dispersing his kung fu. This attempt showed that his trust in Jia Yan could not be increased. He was obviously an outsider, but he didn't think that this being who was infinitely stronger than him would deceive him, that such a peak heaven-level being was still just an ordinary farmer. So he felt like he was going to die, so he wasn't afraid of that much at all. He was losing blood all over, and countless amounts of blood were shooting out. Hold on, there is only 1 week. After 1 week, I will be recognized by teacher Yin Yang. He was still gritting his teeth, and his desire to become strong was supporting his madness. Oh, this guy is quite hard-working. It can be seen that people in the Central Star Territory, even farmers, will fight to the death for any opportunity that they may get. Their desire for the strong is more important than the outside world must be stronger. Jia Yan originally thought that the Central Star Territory was just talented, but now he can see that the ordinary people in the Central Star Territory are probably many times more thirsty for power than the outside world. And he also knows that it is true that talents are good. The talents in the central star field of the galaxy are much better than those in the Orion arm. There are talented people who cannot be found in the entire Orion arm. Here, casually just look for a planet, and among 10,000 people you can find a being with a talent that the Orion arm cannot match. That's at least a talent comparison of several 100 million to 1. Not on the same level at all. Not only the farmers are observing Jia Yan, but Jia Yan is also observing the ordinary people here. And Billy, I asked her to go back and practice hard, but she didn't leave. She sat under a rock not far from my house and started practicing. Jia Yan also looked at Billy, who was in her 20s. From the definition of the central star field, She was like a 5 or 6 year old child. But Jia Yan couldn't tell at all that she would have the attitude of a 5 or 6 year old child from Earth, and many of her mentality were completely that of an Earthling in her 20s. Maybe aliens define children in terms of strength and ability to work. In other words, children in their 20s are defined because they lack strength and there is no social requirement for children of this age to work. As children, they actually don't lack much in terms of mentality and wisdom. Billy is trying. Master Biha has also become a disciple of Master Yin Yang, and it is said that Master Yin Yang wants Master Biha to find some talented people to teach him, saying that there are some enemies who are eyeing the outside world. Although I also know that this is Master Yin Yang's fault. Our planet is good, but if this happens, Teacher Yin Yang, who should only belong to me, will have many disciples at Chiyuan. I have to work harder to get more attention from Teacher Yin Yang. Billy's mentality is too simple, she just wants Jia Yan's attention. Although she is not a child, her mentality is indeed that of a child, relatively simple. Ugh. Billy was thinking too much, and blood spurted out from her mouth. From a distance, Jia Yan frowned slightly. He felt that this little rabbit girl was a little too hasty. But when he discovered that Billy didn't even bother to wipe off the blood, she just followed Jia Yan's example, sitting cross-legged under the big stone, quietly continuing to meditate, and then peeling off part of the original positive energy, and quickly converted into negative energy, he shook his head helplessly and sighed. Sure enough, the galaxy's central star territory, has really come for a while, and even ordinary people will become so ruthless. They are said to be farmers, but because they live in a place where the cultivation civilization is extremely developed and is recognized as the strongest place in the entire galaxy, the creatures that grow here must have had strong ancestors. Generation after generation, everyone's genes or all of them have been engraved with the instinctive strength of cultivation. How can this be compared to the creatures in the outside world? It's simply too different. Jia Yan couldn't help but sigh. In the central star field of the Milky Way, everyone is indeed strong, including the farmers. As long as they are given a chance, they will work hard to seize it. Above the starry sky, the forces that repaired solar energy gradually began to attract several shabby warships. These battleships seem to be very dilapidated, but battleships are battleships after all, and their combat effectiveness cannot be underestimated. At least they cannot be dealt with by the firepower of asteroids. Today, these battleships gathered together in one place, with at least 5 or 6 starry sky-level beings, as well as dozens of heaven-level beings, all arriving on the main flagship with the venerable level in charge. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2034. Listen, I bought these battleships from some friends at a huge price. This way our entire force has taken on a huge loan. This operation must only succeed and not fail, otherwise everyone will have to carry money that is difficult to repay in their lifetime. Do you know? I know, boss. Among these battleships, on the relatively good-looking main ship, the venerable class powerful man, who is also the boss of the force that repairs the solar system, gave his final pre-war speech to his subordinates. But boss, the information we know seems to mention that an old monster with suspected venerable level strength came to that planet. He lived on the asteroid. What if we attack it and he takes action? Suddenly, a heaven-level subordinate revealed the yin and yang information to the venerable level boss. After all, there is nothing to hide about the arrival of yin and yang. Even if the farmers on the asteroid do not go out, some will still tell the information about yin and yang through the internet. Huh? Old monster? Venerable level? Please tell me carefully. When the boss heard this information, he immediately became solemn and quickly asked for information about this old monster. But after hearing the information, he immediately smiled. He, what kind of opponent did I think he was? It turned out to be such a monster. There is nothing to worry about. He is just an old monster. He probably wants to find a place to retire and prepare to die. Otherwise, what will happen? Would he waste time on such an asteroid with nothing? Don't be afraid. If he dares to take action, I will deal with him personally. Besides, he has just arrived on the asteroid and has no feelings. It won't be difficult for us to help him, I guess. He was so happy that he wanted to leave, and it wouldn't be too difficult for him to change to another asteroid. This boss is very confident in the deterrent power of himself and others. After all, in addition to being strong men, they also have battleships and weapons. How can he not be confident in dealing with an old monster? But be careful. An old monster usually means that he has experienced a lot. Even if his fighting power is not as strong as before, if he can live to this age without dying, he will be very difficult to deal with. I think we will really fight. We can't kill him even if we do it, so we won't fight if we can. Come on, you can ask Sosu for information more carefully to see what kind of background this old guy has, and postpone the dispatch for 2 days. Yes. The people who were training hard on the asteroid had no idea that the arrival of Master Yin Yang, even if he was not prepared to take action, still gave the asteroid a rare respite. This originally leisurely asteroid seems to have been injected with new opportunities. Many farmers seem to have changed from a leisurely state to an extremely hard-working state. In addition to daily farm work, they also work hard to practice. Stand up. Especially Jia Yan, a super strong man, through Biha's mouth, he will also admit some people into his door wall for guidance. The motivation of the farmers is simply off the charts. Therefore, many people at the bottom do not inherently like this situation, but they just do not have the opportunity in front of them. As long as they have the opportunity, they will work hard. Ha ha ha. Ah. 2 heaven-level peasant creatures were fighting together. The 2 of them are one of the heaven-level powerhouses on this planet besides Biha. Although their strength has reached the peak of the heaven level, they are like those children who have been stuck in the heaven level for a long time. They have forgotten what they want to break through. But now with the arrival of Jia Yan, they saw an opportunity, especially when they heard that Biha, who had also been stuck in the starry sky level for a long time, said that after some guidance from teacher Yin Yang, he actually saw signs of a breakthrough in the starry sky level. And suddenly the blood of these 2 people boiled with enthusiasm. They also want to break through the shackles, and they also want to become the starry sky level, and even break through to the venerable level. So the 2 farmers at the top of the sky level rarely put down their farm tools and began training for battle. Ha ha ha, Bitu, you kid, you haven't been idle recently. Your strength is still as powerful as before. Bixie, you're not bad. You didn't lose your strength. But if you don't lose your strength, we haven't made any progress. Now an opportunity is in front of us. I decided to go to Master Yin Yang immediately. Will you come with me? Go. Go, why should I fight you if you don't go? It seems that we both have that kind of mentality. Ha ha ha, the opportunity for promotion is right in front of me, how could I give up? The other guys who are stuck at the heaven level probably won't give up this opportunity either. Let's go. Walk. After a fight, the 2 men, who had consolidated their strength, flew in a certain direction together. At this moment, the atmosphere in the entire asteroid changed due to the existence of Yin and Yang. He was obviously just an old man who had just arrived less than a month ago, but in the bottom of his heart, everyone treated this old man as if they were one of their own elders, and even regarded the place where the old man was as a holy place. In this regard, the central being that all the characters care about has no impact on their mood at all. Because he has seen too many situations like this. What he wants is not just a scene like this. What he wants is a small opportunity, and then trigger a bigger wave. Are you here? Haha, these guys came very quickly. Do you think this kind of strength is enough to impress me? Jia Yan continued to sit cross-legged on the big stone. Underneath was little Billy, who came today. She said goodbye to her parents and came to Jia Yan during the daytime practice. At night, Jia Yan asked her to go home, and she was not far away. He sat cross-legged under another stone, practicing all the time. In fact, this creature from the central star field of the Milky Way is really talented and in good health. Jia Yan asked her to rest, but she didn't rest, but she didn't feel like she was pushing herself too hard, and her body quickly adapted. On the one hand, Jia Yan's teachings were good, and on the other hand, their own physiques were so suitable for cultivation that even Jia Yan felt a little jealous. A little wing, can it incite the whole starry sky? Jia Yan looked at the sky. The endless universe was dotted with stars. To be honest, the more powerful he becomes, the more insignificant he feels. Even if he reaches the galaxy level, he is more in awe of the universe and the stars. Because the universe is really too big, so big that even the Milky Way is just a small gravel in the universe. Sir, you must have seen the battle just now. Could it be that the two of us have caught your eye? The two heaven-level beings arrived in an instant after the battle, and then knelt down in front of Jia Yan. They are all heaven-level beings, more than 10 meters tall, like two mountains, kneeling down. Jia Yan slowly opened his eyes. His eyes were very dull, but within this dullness, there was a certain fierceness that he had never seen before. Is this my opinion that you and others look down upon so much? Do you think that with your level of heaven, you can fall into my eyes? Jia Yan asked calmly. The two heavenly beings were speechless for a moment. Because they know that their own strength is really only ordinary in the heaven level. If nothing else, even in this small planet, there are several people who can fight against them. As for the geniuses from the outside world, they are even more weak. Real geniuses, at the beginning of the heaven level, are likely to be able to defeat them. But do they think Jia Yan would be willing to teach them? The two looked at each other, and then their eyes became firm. Master Yin Yang, we are not questioning your vision, but you have previously said to Biha that you are willing to recruit instructors in this asteroid. Sir, although we are self-aware, we know that we and others are not ordinary characters at all. But we also want to become stronger, we also want to climb to higher heights, and we also want to serve you, Master Yin Yang, and we also want to ask Master Yin Yang to take you under your wing. Jia Yan's eyes did not change. So, you two are going to say that I am talking nonsense. I have said that I am going to recruit some registered disciples here, but not everyone will be recruited. Do you have the confidence to be my disciple? Master Yin Yang, we think we can't, but we still want to give it a try and climb towards the peak of the strong. It's not that you two are not afraid, but if you are afraid now, you will definitely accomplish nothing. Jia Yan's eyes were finally no longer so sharp. He nodded. Forget it, just stand aside and wait. Yes. The two were overjoyed and quickly stood on the side of the boulder where Jia Yan was, like two door gods. Jia Yan was still sitting cross-legged. At this moment, Biha was also preparing. He is not only practicing on his own, but also notifying and screening candidates on the entire asteroid who may be selected by Jia Yan. He didn't know what Jia Yan was planning to do, but this death prevented him from feeling that this asteroid would undergo earth-shaking changes because of that person's arrival. And this change won't be a bad thing. In the universe, becoming stronger is always a constant theme. As long as someone can make these farmers strong, they are willing to do anything. Oh? Do you even want to join? What do you think you have that is worthy of me accepting you? When finally, even the children from the prefectural level arrived one by one outside the big rock where Jia Yan was sitting cross-legged and knelt on the ground, Jia Yan asked seemingly angrily. Master Yin Yang, we have nothing, but we are willing to give up our identity as farmers for you, and we are willing to make any changes for you. We also want to make a change in our destiny. Among the group of children, Harun and Haji were the most central figures, but in front of Jiayan, they were like children, kneeling in front of Jiayan with great respect. Now that all the children have arrived, at least half of the hundreds of people on the entire small planet have arrived. The rest are either timid, have given up on cultivation, or are old, weak, sick, and disabled. The rest came in a swarm. Although Jiayan questioned everyone who came, he didn't reject anyone too much, or even expressed his stance. He stood aside and didn't say anything. At times like this, all you need is a thick skin, and sometimes it really works. In fact, as early as when Biha contacted the big guy, he bluntly stated his analysis. Jiayan's purpose is nothing more than two. One is that, as he showed, he is old and ready to pass on his orthodoxy somewhere. The other is that he is preparing to open a sect here like many sects, with a huge blueprint for the future. No matter which one, he needs a large number of manpower and a large number of disciples. In this case, anyone who has the courage can come and sign up. If his attitude is ambiguous, then he will not leave. In fact, Jiayan's performance was guessed by Biha. That is, even if his attitude was not very welcoming, no one was kicked out by him. Under the boulder, unconsciously, a large number of people were kneeling. Those who passed by were standing quietly, not daring to leave an inch, as if they were afraid that Jiayan would regret it. After almost watching, Jiayan finally moved slightly on the boulder. Wow! As he moved, more than 200 people in the entire scene looked at him from a distance. You. He spoke to Shuyuan in an extremely old voice. Keep them all. As soon as he said this, everyone in the entire venue cheered. In the distance, some farmers who wanted to come but had various scruples sighed secretly and left quietly with extremely uncomfortable expressions. They knew that even if they came now, it would be useless, because Master Yin Yang gave them time, but they did not dare to come forward until the end. Very good. A group of children were even more excited and wanted to jump up with joy. Billy, who was farther away, opened her eyes, looked at the group of children, and then at more adults. A deep sense of crisis flashed in her eyes, and then she closed her eyes again. Jiayan controlled his clone and suspended it in the air, letting the happy person look at him again. The turtle-like creature looked at the group of creatures below, and then continued to speak softly. The name of this sect is Yin Yang Section. If you want to learn and practice with me, then you must join my section. You are not allowed to teach the sect's core combat skills to others, you are not allowed to fight within the sect, you are not allowed to violate the laws within the sect, and you are not allowed to act arbitrarily. Is it possible for you to bully others? I can do it. Teacher Yin Yang, we can do it. Yin Yang sect? It has the same name as Teacher Yin Yang. Could it be that the sect was founded by Teacher Yin Yang? What a great name for the section. We actually have a section. A group of farmers, the structure is still too small, and each one talks in an old-fashioned way. Jiayan didn't blame them, because he himself felt that the scene at this time was a bit ridiculous. But in the future these farmers should know how much of a lifelong choice they have made. As for the farmers, Jiayan doesn't care so much. They can still stay on this planet in the future, and even join the sect in the future, but they are destined to only do chores.